All right. Okay, so live na rin tayo sa live na rin tayo sa YouTube and I think we can start, no? So okay. Um good evening ulit no sa lahat ng mga kasama natin ngayon. And probably may mga konting dadagdag din no sa YouTube natin. Let's just wait for them to, get settled in a little bit. Okay, saglit lang. All right. Okay, so thank you Ma'am April sa for the kind words. Okay, tas yung mga iba naman may mga basic ideas no na nag-research ng konti doon sa ating YouTube channel. We already have a lot of baga videos there na can already get you started. Masasave rin ba to sa YouTube? Yes po. Actually, naka-stream na tayo ngayon. So, it will be saved there. So, at least babalikan, no? Okay, game na. So, anyway, again, I'd like to apologize na naka-off yung camera ngayon. As mentioned earlier, no, medyo mukha akong zombie ngayon dahil I was taking care of my son for the past few nights, no, kasi may sakit. Pero ngayon okay na, no, good. Buti naman okay na siya. No? Pero with that, medyo puyat si daddy. Anyway, so off na lang yung camera. So anyway, pero game na game pa rin ako. Alright, so anyway, yung pag-usapan natin ngayon no, is more on technical analysis. We will cover the basics of price action. Pag-usapan po natin candlestick charts. So makikita natin dito, our charts are comprised of candlesticks. Next naman po is yung ating supports and resistances. No? Yung supports and resistances natin, yun po yung mga areas kung saan tayo kikilos. No? Those are very specific areas on our charts where we want to buy or sell. No? Kumbaga, hindi tayo kasi madalas nagtitrade sa gitna ng wala. We only wait for those areas no, to bounce there or basagin yung areas na yun. So we'll talk about bounces and breaks later on. Now, yung susunod naman po, we'll talk about some very familiar chart patterns. No? So we'll be looking at flags, pennants, and wedges, no? Kasi yan yung madalas na magagamit natin sa charts natin, no? So medyo inline siya with how we normally trade, no, dito sa PAFT. Tapos later on, matututunan din kasi natin yung market structure. We won't have it in this series. You'll have it in our next series, no? Ibig sabihin, yung zero to hero natin, tatapusin natin. Tapos meron kasi parang second level to, no? So everyone who was here sa zero to hero are automatically invited to go there, no? Wala namang other requirements. So siguro requirements lang is for you to be in the Discord group of PAFTI. So yun lang naman, no? Tapos ang mag-handle kasi nun si Coach Alex M. You'll have probably 2 or 3 sessions depending on how many sessions we did. Okay, so pag-uusapan natin dun yung market structure. Pasok na pasok yun dun eh. So kumbaga, let's try to absorb everything we can here so that pagdating doon, mas madali na sa atin gamitin, no? So after that, we'll talk about yung signature strategy ni PAFTI. And we normally combine a couple of indicators, mostly Bollinger Bands and probably an oscillator, no, momentum indicator. And then from there, nakakahanap tayo ng mga entries with that. No? So it's a trend following strategy. And what's good about it is that it's very simple to follow. No, it makes a lot of sense kung bakit natin siya ginagawa. I explain ko din no, from top to bottom why we chose that strategy and why we're implementing it. Kasi doon sa ating mga live trading sessions, yun din yung strategy na ginagamit natin, no? So, kumbaga applicable na kagad. All right? Is this free? Yes, it's free, no? Yung second level ng course natin, it's also free. So, wala tayong problema doon. All right. So, hindi uso ang upselling dito. Talagang kung ibibigay ng libre, libre talaga. All right. So, anyway, moving forward, no? So, let's just take a look at our slides, no, for our price action muna. So kung napansin nyo kanina, your charts were actually comprised of candlesticks and your candlesticks look different from each other. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng candlesticks natin kanina? No? Yung candlesticks natin, this represents the movement of price at a particular time frame. So, kunwari, tingnan muna natin si gold, no? So, looking at gold right now, you can change the time frames, no, as we learned doon sa ating mga videos. Hopefully, napanood nyo, para hindi tayo mahirapan. So, yung paano gamitin yung MT4 or MT5 platform. So, you have here a couple of options for you na mga time frames, no? And each candlestick represents the movement of price at a particular time frame. So in this case, kung ang tinitingnan natin dito ay D1 charts ng gold, each candlestick that you see there represents one whole day of gold's movement. So ngayon, makikita nyo from the day, from the time it started today, no, umakit yung presyo. And right now, it's still moving, umakit, bumaba pa yan kasi hindi pa tapos yung araw. Kahapon, kumbaga kumbaga halos wala siyang pinuntahan, no? The other day was the surprise movement ng gold na talagang biglang nag-gap down to, biglang bumagsak to eh. So, this was the other day, no? Tapos ito naman, ano ba to? Wait lang. This is Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and this is Friday. Okay? So, yan yung ano natin, no? That is daily movement. And you can change that, no? Weekly, monthly, 4 hours, H1, and then you have the minute charts. So, normally, yung depende sa type of trader na gusto nyo maging, no, sa time frame na gagamitin natin. So if you're generally there's 4 types of traders. Actually tatlo plus 1, no. So you have long-term traders or position traders wherein people normally trade siguro mga days, weeks or even months, no. Actually weeks or months talaga for position trading. At madalas ang time frame na tinitingnan mo diyan is D1, weekly, monthly, no. Tapos yung yung ating mga medium term time frame naman po. Normally nagti-trade kayo nasa mga H4 or D1. We call those swing traders, no. Kaya kung napapansin niyo yung charts ay yung mga videos natin with Coach Alex M. Ang mga madalas na tinitingnan doon is nasa H4 charts, no. Siguro pwede ka bumaba to H1 for precision lang ng entry. Pero mainly ang basa mo doon talaga nasa H4, no? Yun yung unang tingin talaga natin doon. H1 pwede din naman, no? For intraday trading, yun naman yung magbubukas ka ng trade. At the end of the day, isasara mo na. So, kumbaga wala kang iniiwan na positions overnight. Normally, you trade there 1 hour and below. So, siguro hanggang mga 15 minutes, ganyan, okay na yan, no? Now, may mga tinatawag na scalpers. Yun naman yung talagang mabilisan lang, M1 or M5, buy in, pasok sila sa market, labas sila in a couple of minutes, no? Yun yung mga duration ng mga trades nila. So, later on, we will have a course doon sa different time frames na yan. So, kumbaga, di ba na-mention ko kanina, magkakaroon kayo ng parang level 2 ng Zero to Hero, di ba, with Coach Alex M. Now, after that, once you finish that, meron pa tayong parang third level pa. Yun yung parang specialization courses natin for position trading naman, swing trading, intraday trading, at saka scalping. No? So, kumbaga, 4 different paths that you can choose from. Pwede mo naman piliin, marami. No? Okay lang naman yun, walang problema. But it really depends on what you prefer, no, as an individual. So, anyway, that comes much later pa. No? Wala ding bayad yan. So, prerequisite lang nun is kasama kayo dun sa previous session. No? Anyway, so yun yung mga time frames na tinitingnan natin. No? So, later on, you get to choose which one you're more comfortable with. Doon sa ating swing updates, more on H4, H1 yung tinitingnan natin. Doon sa ating daily sessions, more on H1 yung focus natin dyan. No? So, with that, dito ngayon yung going back to our candlesticks. So each candlestick here represents a particular time frame. At mapapansin mo, iba-iba yung mga itsura nila. No, you have white candlesticks, you have black candlesticks, and then you have, candlesticks that have sharp tops and sharp bottoms. Ang tawag natin dyan wicks or shadows, no. Tapos yung iba naman wala, no. So magkaiba itsura nila, bakit ganoon? In general, white candles mean umakyat yung presyo from the time it opened to the time it closed. Yung mga black candles naman, price went down, no, from the time it opened to the time it closed. No? So, ibig sabihin, if you're looking at the daily chart, yung mga black, nung araw na yan, bumagsak yung presyo. No? Yung mga white, umakyat yung presyo. Okay? So, yung mga medyo manipis lang yung parang body ng candlestick, you can see that there's a rectangular area. Kung medyo manipis lang, ibig sabihin wala siyang masyadong pinuntahan. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about that in depth. No? Tingnan natin yung uh, ating slides. No? Anyway, thank you for the kind words. No? Okay, so alamin muna natin yung parts ng candlestick, no? So that it makes more sense. So yung candlesticks natin, there's two types of them. You have a bullish candlestick and then you have a bearish candlestick, no? Yung bullish candlestick natin, it's represented by the white one. And as you can see, you have here the body of the candlestick. That's the rectangular area. Tapos makikita nyo po, meron kayong wicks dito or shadows. Yun yung mga tusok sa taas at sa baba. So, yung wicks and shadows natin dyan, that's your high and low. Tapos yung body natin, that's the opening and the closing price. So, let's say that this is the daily candle ng Euro USD, no? So, nung nag-start yung candlestick, meaning nung nag-start yung araw, dito siya sa may opening price, no? Diyan yung presyo na yan nag-start siya, okay? And at the end of the day, nung natapos yung candlestick, dito siya sa closing price, no? Dito yung presyo kung saan siya nagsara. So from the time it opened to the time it closed, it went up. Pero syempre, hindi naman diretso yung presyo, no? Na from the time it opened, umakyat siya, tapos nagsara dun sa may taas, and then it ended there, no? Normally, it doesn't happen like that. Normally, marami pa siyang ibang pinupuntahan, no? Aakyat, bababa yung presyo, aakyat, bababa. So, it does some extreme movements first, no? Pwedeng bumaba siya hanggang dito sa pinakababa, and that will be represented by the low, no? Yan yung wick natin. Tapos yung high naman, yung pinakatuktok na tusok dyan, that's the highest point that price reached during that time frame. Okay. Pero hindi siya tumigil dun sa taas, hindi rin siya tumigil sa baba. At the end of the candlestick, it ended here at your closing price. So yun yung ating candlestick, no? Now, if you're looking at the bearish candlestick, which is represented by the black one, pareho lang naman siya. Pero from the time it opened to the time it closed, it went down. Okay? So yun lang naman yung difference niya. So if you think about it, parang, okay, sige, fine. Gets ko na yung parts ng candlestick. What is it for? So paano ko naman magagamit yan? It actually gives you an idea on how price moved, no, during that time frame. Alam natin na dito nag-start yung price, no? Price opened here. And then bumaba siya hanggang dito sa low. Tapos umakyat ulit siya, no, hanggang dito sa high. And then eventually it went down and then closed here. Ayan. So ito yung ating opening price, ito yung ating low, ito yung ating high, at ito yung ating closing price. So, hindi naman specifically ganyan gumalaw yung presyo, pero generally, yan yung flow ng price. Okay? So, for your bearish candlestick, ganun din naman yung idea, no? Opening price, high, low, close, and then dyan po nagsara yung ating presyo. Okay? So, with that, maisip natin, okay, fine. Medyo gets ko yung parts ng candlestick, no? Paano namin siya ma-apply sa ating trading? So, yung po natin, no, yung ating candlesticks po, no, it actually tells us a story, no. It tells us if there's a lot of buying pressure or if there's a lot of selling pressure. So dito po makikita nyo na unahin mo natin yung bullish candlestick sa left side. At tandaan nyo, you can change the color of your candlestick. So for now, green candlestick also represents bullish and then red one represents your bearish candlestick. No? Later on, pwede nyo naman palitan sa charts yan. If you want it to be pink and purple, I mean, who cares? No? As long as it's easy for you na basahin yung candlesticks. No? So, dito po, no, yung candlestick na to, it shows us a lot of buying pressure. No? Ano ibig sabihin ng buying pressure? It tells us that there's a lot of buyers in the market right now and there's a lot of demand, no, for that particular pair. So merong good chance na pwedeng umakyat yung presyo, no? Again, it's not hindi siya sigurado na talagang aakyat after that, but it does give you a sense kung sino yung lamang sa market ngayon. So if you have a candlestick like this one, maisip natin, okay, paano mo naman nasabi na malakas yung buying pressure kapag ganyan yung itsura? Well, try to identify the parts first so that we can understand how price moved, no? So this is our opening price, di ba? And this is our closing price kasi yan yung body, di ba? Tapos ito yung ating low dito sa may pinakababa. And then our high is the same as your closing price. Okay, so pareho siya. So with that, isipin nyo paano ba siya gumalaw? Price opened here, and then went down hanggang dito sa may low. Di ba? Kasi umabot siya dyan sa baba eh. So at one point in time, it looked like this. No? It looked like a very bearish candlestick. Pero pagdating sa baba, suddenly there was a strong buying pressure which pushed the price upwards and it even went higher than your opening price. No? At nagsara siya dun sa taas. So ang isipin mo ngayon, paano kaya gumalaw yung presyo? Kanina, bagsak na bagsak yung presyo. No? Pero suddenly, biglang lumipad siya and it even closed higher than your opening price. So sa isip natin, sino kaya lamang ngayon? Probably yung lamang ngayon are the buyers kasi lumipad yung presyo bigla eh. No? And from there, there's a good chance na baka tumuloy pa siya lalo pataas. So it gives you further confirmation with that. Now, itong selling pressure, ganun din naman yung idea. No? If we identify the parts, this is the opening price and the closing price. This is our low and this is our high. Okay? So price started out here sa opening price, tapos umakyat siya hanggang dun sa high. So at one point in time, it was very bullish, no? Pero pagdating sa taas, suddenly there was strong bearish pressure which pushed the price downwards and even closed lower than our opening price. And with that, it tells us lamang yung seller sa market ngayon at pwedeng bumaba yung presyo. Okay? So that's the reason why we're studying candlesticks, no? Why we're actually considering it. It gives us an idea kung sino yung lamang sa market ngayon and that can contribute no to our analysis and entry sa market. Okay? So ang maganda dito is that we're trying to understand the movement of price itself, no? Hindi tayo robotic na kanwari, uy, ganito yung itsura ng candlestick, no? O automatic buy tayo diyan. Ganito yung itsura ng candlestick, automatic sell tayo kagad. Hindi, we're actually understanding why it's giving us a buy or sell signal. No? And this is the reason behind it. Alright? So, malinaw so far. Wala pa tayo doon sa part na paano natin malalaman kung bullish or bearish yung candlestick. Nandun pa lang tayo sa part na bakit natin siya inaaral. Okay pa? No question so far? Alright. Okay, mukhang wala pa naman. Saglit, give me a moment. Check ko lang yun, no? Check ko lang sa YouTube, Baka may nagtatanong. Okay, may tanong dito. Pwede rin po ba gayahin o malaman ng mga periods ng indicator nyo mamaya? Okay, sige. Nakasama talaga yun. Yung sa signature strategy ng PAFTI. Kasama talaga yan. Alright, so moving forward. Okay, so clear pa naman, no? Okay. So, ito naman kung paano natin babasahin yung candlesticks. No? Actually, there's multiple ways to do it. But personally, this is how I do things. So, imagine that for every candlestick that you see, ideally yung mga malalaki yung mga maliit na candlestick, di natin pinapansin yan kasi automatic neutral yan kapag maliit. No? Pero kapag malaki yung candlestick, ganito natin siya paano babasahin. No? So imagine that there's a scale from 0 to 100%. No? Yung 0 natin, that's your low, and then your high is 100%. So, for example, no, yung ating candlestick, ganito ang itsura. No? It started out here. Okay. Tapos, umakyat po siya hanggang dun sa pinakataas. Okay. That created our high. Di ba? This is our opening price. Pero pagdating sa high, bumagsak ulit yung presyo. No? And then, bumaba po siya hanggang dito sa pinakababa. No? That created our low. Pero umakyat ulit siya ng konti at dito nagsara. Okay. So, ganyan yung itsura ng candlestick natin. Now, imagine that there is a scale from 0 to 100%. No? Yung 0 natin is our low. Okay? So, nandyan yung ating 0. Ang high natin, nandyan yung ating 100%. Ngayon, ang importante, relative to that scale, no, from 0 to 100%, at what percentage did price close? Saan po nag-close yung presyo? Okay? So, if price closed here, okay, kung ang low natin ay 0%, tapos ang high natin ay 100%, anong percent nag-close yung presyo ngayon? If this is 0 and this is 100, probably this is around 10%. Okay? It doesn't have to be exact, no? Pero roughly, somewhere around there, that would be 10%. And based on that scale, if price closed above 60%, that would be bullish. If it closed somewhere between 60 and 40, kumbaga medyo nasa gitna siya, that would be neutral. If it closed somewhere below 40%, then that means it's bearish. In this case, yung price natin, nag-close siya somewhere around 10%, which tells us definitely it's bearish. So the closer it is to 0, the more bearish it is. The closer it is to 100, the more bullish it is. Malinaw. Clear yung concept natin. So remember, from low to high, imagine there's a scale of 0 to 100% and tignan nyo po kung saan nag-close yung price. Now, given this idea, okay pa? Kaya, wala pa naman tanong. I'm gonna move forward. So given this idea, may mga times na yung kulay ng candlestick natin is color white. But it still tells us that the market is bearish. Paano nangyari yun? Ito, I'll give you an example here. Sabihin natin, yung price nagsimula po dito. Price started out here. Bumaba siya ng konti. That created our low. No? This is our opening price. Makyat po siya all the way to the top and then created our high. Pagdating sa taas, biglang tumulo ulit yung presyo pababa and closed here. So that's our closing price. Now, if you take a look at this candlestick, textbook will tell you that it's bullish. Bakit? Kasi from the opening to the closing price, umakyat siya. Pero, kung isipin natin, yung bias kaya ng market, bullish kaya. If we apply this technique we had earlier, no, kung ang low natin ay 0%, okay, so this is 0%, our high is 100%, okay, saan nag-close yung price? Price closed here, probably, I don't know, 25%. No? Again, it doesn't have to be exact, but definitely, it is bearish. Okay? So, makikita nyo po dito, it closed below 40%, even though the color of the candlestick is colored white, no? From the time it opened to the time it closed, umakyat siya, it still closed below 40%. Bearish pa rin yung bias natin sa kandila na yan. Okay? Is that clear? So ngayon, let's try to have some examples, no? Para talagang medyo makuha natin, no? Let's try to apply it directly kagad. Alright, so given these candlesticks, how about ito? Simplihan muna natin. How about this candlestick over here? Is this bullish, bearish, or neutral? Okay, good, good, good. Medyo simple lang. Alright, so that is definitely bearish, no? So if we take a look at it, this is 100, di ba? This is 0, price closed here, probably, I don't know, 10, 20%, nasa mga ganyan, pero definitely bearish yan. Okay. Hanap tayo ng mahirap. Wait lang ah. Hanap tayo ng medyo mahirap-hirap. Medyo simple lahat eh. Wala natin time frame. Okay. Sige, ito. Let's try to check this out. How about this candlestick over here? So this is gold, di ba? Ito yung, kumbaga, malaking ginalaw ng gold eh. How about that candlestick over there? Is that bullish, bearish, or neutral? Kung unang tingin mo sa kanya, bearish eh. Try natin identify yung parts ah. This is our high, di ba? 100%. This is our low, 0%. Unang tingin mo, bearish kasi laki nung body niya, di ba? Na black, di ba? Pero saan kaya nag-close yung price? Price closed here. Right. It's actually neutral. Gitna siya. So with that, ano yung bias mo sa market? Neutral, o, di ba? Points. Alright. So anyway, I think kuha na yata na lahat, no? So with that, maisip natin na, wow, okay yun na. Does that mean, coach, na kapag bearish yung candlestick, sell na ako agad, no? Pag bullish yung candlestick, buy na ako agad. Actually, hindi po. Gagamitin lang natin yan as confirmation in the market, no? Whenever the market hits an area where we want to buy or sell, we check the candlesticks for confirmation. Pero we don't use them alone. So kumbaga nakakita ka ng yung price mo umabot doon sa area kung saan mo gusto bumili. No, that's called a support. If it goes there, then you want to buy, you check out your candlesticks. No? Do the candlesticks agree with your bullish bias? No? Kapag yung candlesticks mo nag-agree, then go ahead. No? Maybe you can buy that. Pero kapag bearish pa yung mga candlesticks mo, habang nandun ka sa area kung saan mo gusto bumili, baka you may wanna, take it easy for a bit. No? Baka mamaya tumuloy lang lalo pababa yung market, madali lang tayo. So we only use it as a confirmation. It's only one part of the equation. So with that, let's take a look at our supports and resistances. No? Yung supports and resistances natin, these are areas on your charts where price may likely bounce, no? Or it may likely breakout, no? So kumbaga, dun muna tayo sa part na bounce, no? Later we'll talk a little bit about breakouts. So, yung supports and resistances na yan, these are areas on your charts where price bounced before. Ibig sabihin, tumalbog yung presyo dyan sa area na yan dati. And the next time it goes back to the same price level, there's a good chance that the same thing might happen again. Pwede siyang tumalbog ulit. Okay? So, yan yung kumbaga aabangan natin na area kung saan tayo maghahanap ng trade. Okay? So, looking at that, no? Looking at our example over here, bigyan ko muna kayo ng medyo mas visual na example para mas madali maintindihan kaagad, no? So, supports are areas on your charts below the current price. So, nasa ilalim siya. Ang resistances naman, nasa taas siya ng current price natin. So, as mentioned earlier, these are areas on your charts where price bounced before. So, sabihin natin yung presyo galing dito sa taas, tapos bumagsak po siya dito, no? Pagbagsak niya dito, suddenly, there was a very strong reversal that happened here. No? Nagkaroon ka ng strong swing or a strong rejection sa market. No? Ibig sabihin, tumalbog ng malakas yung presyo. Di ba? Dire-diretso siya pababa. Then suddenly, it bounced upwards from there. So, in this area over here, no, there's a good possibility na meron tayong support level dyan. Okay? And the next time, price goes back to that same area, umakyat na siya, tumalbog na pataas. The next time price goes back to that same area, there's a good chance na pwede siyang tumalbog ulit pataas doon. Giving you an opportunity to buy. Tapos ganun din, no? The next time price goes back to the same area, it may dig a little deeper, no? And then from there, pwede siyang tumalbog ulit, giving you another opportunity to buy. Yan yung ating support. Resistances, on the other hand, no, are areas on your charts, no, that is above the current price, okay, na tumalbog yung presyo pababa. So price went up here, di ba? Tapos pag kita nyo dito, suddenly there was a strong rejection sa market. Biglang tumalbog ng malakas yung presyo. So somewhere there sa taas, no, alam natin na may possibility na meron kang resistance. And the next time price visits that same area, there's a good chance that price may bounce from there. Alam nating pwedeng bumagsak yung presyo pababa dyan. Okay? Giving you an opportunity to sell. Okay? Next time price goes back up, no, it digs a little deeper into that area. And the next time, no, that it does hit that, there's a good chance na pwede siya tumalbog ulit pababa, giving you another opportunity to sell. Is that clear? So, yan yung, kumbaga, supports and resistances natin. Supports are areas on your charts where we look for opportunities to buy. Resistances naman are opportunities na pwede nating mag-ibenta, no, yung pair. So, may mga technical concepts, no, that are learned outside, but I don't believe them, no? Kasi may mga nagsasabi na the more times a support or a resistance is tested, the stronger it is. So, kanwari, tumalbog yung presyo dito once, di ba? Twice, 3 times. Ibig sabihin yung 4th time, sobrang tibay na yan, mas siguradong babagsak siya. Para sa akin, hindi. No, textbook will tell you that the more times it's tested, the stronger it is. But personally, I believe the exact opposite of that. The more times a support or a resistance is tested, the more likely it will break. Okay? Mas lalo siyang madaling mabasag kasi ilang beses na siyang tineste. Isipin niyo po ang support or resistance para yang pinto. No, sabihin natin, that's the best analogy I can think of. No? Para yung pinto. Sipahin mo once, matibay pa yan. No, tatalbog yan. Sipahin mo pangalawang beses, medyo lumalambot na yan. Sipahin mo ng pangatlong beses, pwede na yan mabasag. Okay? Same thing with your supports or resistances. Okay? The more times it's tested, the weaker it becomes. Okay? Unless there's, some intervention that the central bank does that keeps it to that level, just like yung Hong Kong dollar. Kung papansin nyo, if you open your charts sa Hong Kong dollar, there's a very specific line where price does not exceed. No? Yun, may intervention na yun. Iba yun. No? Pero if we're just talking plainly about supports and resistances, then the more times it's tested, the weaker it is. No? Now, what if nabasag ngayon yung ating supports and resistances? Okay, ito may question tayo dito before we talk about breakouts. How about the mini supports and resistances? Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, we only consider the big swings in the market, no? How about the smaller ones? Kasi di ba, meron ka ditong maliit, meron ka ditong maliit. Now, I do recommend that you guys take a look at the big swings in the market. Kasi yung mga malaking swings, they show you a stronger rejection in the market. And if there's a stronger rejection, mas matibay yung support or resistance mo. Yung mga maliliit na swings na nakikita nyo sa market, yes, they can be supports and resistances as well. But they are weaker than the bigger ones. So, what I suggest is that you stick to the bigger ones first. Yun muna yung i-prioritize natin at unahin natin. No? Kasi we want higher quality ng trades rather than a bigger number of trades. No? Kasi tayo, quality over quantity tayo. No, okay lang sa atin kahit 3 lang yung trades natin, 2 lang yung trades natin sa isang linggo. Basta quality. No? Ayaw natin ng 20 trades pero papangit naman ng mga trades natin. No? So, try to go for the bigger swings. Then later on, pag medyo natatansya na nyo na yung market, pwede nyo na rin laruin yung mga smaller swings. But for the meantime, go for the bigger ones. Okay? Mas matibay yung levels nyo dyan. Okay? So, thank you for that question. Now, paano, coach, kapag hindi tumalbog yung presyo doon sa support or resistance natin? No? Actually, that happens a lot in the market. We call those breakouts. No? If your support or resistance gets broken, then it turns into its opposite. What do you mean by that? Tignan ngayon natin, what if price goes up here, pero ang nangyari, hindi siya tumalbog sa resistance. Ang nangyari, binasag niya yung level na yan at tumagos po siya pataas. What happens there? Ang tawag po dyan ay breakout. No? Whenever your resistance or support is broken, no? Basically your price closes outside of that, you now have a breakout. And whenever you have a broken resistance, it turns into a new support. Tandaan nyo yan, ha? Broken resistances turn into a new support. So, pag tumagos yung presyo, normally, ang price naman po, hindi naman yan dire-diretso aakyat. Bubuelo din yan pabalik. No? We call those retracements or pullbacks. Babalik at babalik yan ng konti. Kumbaga, kailangan yan bumuelo bago siya tumuloy ulit kung saan siya talaga papunta. And whenever you have broken resistances, pwedeng mag-retrace yung market pabalik, no? Comes back down a little bit, and uses your old resistance as a new support. Pwede pong dyan tumalbog yung market pataas, giving you an opportunity to buy. Okay. Is that clear? Whenever you have broken resistances, they turn into new supports. So upon breakout, pwedeng bumalik ng konti yung presyo back to your old resistance and can use it as a new support. At pwedeng yun yung kumbaga buwelo niya or launching pad niya to continue its trend upwards. Okay? Yan, maganda palang pang position trading yung yung Hong Kong dollar. No? Well, there's a couple of strategies that you can play around with it. No? Paano po ma-identify kung fake out? Sige, mamaya pag-usapan natin ng konti yan. Okay. So, yun yung ating tinatawag na breakout ngayon. Now, when you enter breakouts, basically, there's 2 entries that you can take. Okay? Number 1, is mismong pagtagos ng presyo and it closes outside of your resistance, you can already enter there. No? Pwede ka na bumili dyan. That's the aggressive way to do it. No? Pwede naman, no? Ginagawa talaga yan. So you can do that if you like. Upon breakout, price has to close outside. Ibig sabihin yung candlestick mo, if you're looking at the H4 chart, let's say it gives you a bullish candlestick over here, okay? And it closes outside, no? Pwede, no? That is considered as a breakout. You can already buy there. Or, what you can do is you can wait for price to come back down a little bit at bumalik dun sa dati mong resistance, which is now a new support, at diyan ka maghahanap ng opportunity to buy. Alright, so there's two types of entries. Number one is the aggressive one, which is pasok ka kagad upon breakout. And the second one is wait for the market to pull back a little bit, no, retrace a little bit, and then saka ka papasok. Alright? Now, for your support, ganun din naman siya. No, baliktad lang. If you have a broken support, it turns into a new resistance. Kanwari, bumaba yung presyo dito. Tumagos siya sa ating support. It now becomes a new resistance. Pwedeng bumalik yung presyo pataas and use it as your, kumbaga dyan bubuelo, para ituloy niya yung market pababa. It gives you an opportunity to sell. And again, you have two types of entries there. Mismong pag-breakout ng support natin or yung pagbalik niya ng dati mong support, which is now a new resistance. Okay? Now, Coach, paano kapag binasag niya yung ating support, di ba? Tapos binabalikan na niya yung dating support, di ba? Which is now a new resistance. Pero nangyari, tumagos siya ulit. Ano mangyari pag ganyan? Pag ganyan, just scratch that whole area and look for a new one. Invalidated na yan. No? Wala nang silbi yung area na yan. Hanap ka na ng bago. And that happens a lot in the market. So, pag ganyan, wag nyo nang ipilit pa. Na for example, di ba, dati mo siyang support, sana resistance na ngayon, tapos binasag na naman. So, ngayon, support na naman siya ulit. No? Hindi na. Kalimutan mo na area na yan. Erase na yan. Okay. Alright. May computation ba, Coach, pagkuha ng supports and resistances? Meron pong way. No, actually, maraming paraan eh. Pero ito mamaya, papakita ko sa inyo yung paano personally ko ginagawa. Okay, have you heard of the idea, no, of looking into order blocks, no, and imbalances to be areas of interests, no, rather than supports and resistances, no? So yung mga order blocks na yan, hindi naman natin kasi makikita yan eh, no? Normally, if you can see yung mga positions ng banks, pwede, no? So normally, kailangan na natin ng magandang terminal dyan, Bloomberg Terminal, yung Reuters, ano natin, yung Acon platform, yan, kahit pa paano medyo masisilip mo kung saan sila nakapwesto. Kasi ang bangko po, pag mag-trade naman yan, hindi naman isang presyo yan eh. Yun yung concept kasi ng order blocks eh. Kunwari, di ba, kung bumaba yung presyo dito, sabihin natin, gusto natin mag-buy, di ba? Tayo, isang presyo lang tayo mag-buy, di ba? 1.1500 buy tayo, di ba? Kasi yung position natin, maliit lang eh. Pero yung bangko kasi, malaki yung position nila. So, hindi nila kaya bumili ng lahat in one price. So, they buy in blocks. For example, buy sila ng certain number of lots dito sa price na to. Pag bumaba ng konti, bibili siya ulit, bibili ulit, bibili ulit. So, this one is called, an order block. So, yan yung concept kasi nun eh. Alright. So, I mean, there's multiple ways to interpret order blocks, pero this is how I view it, no, in a very simple manner. So, kapag nagdi-dip down, buy, saka kumaakyat. And it's the exact same concept why I'm saying that the more times a particular support and resistance is tested, the weaker it becomes because the orders that are, yung mga buy orders dyan are already filled doon sa unang times na nag-bounce siya. And the next time it goes down again to the same area, na-fill yung orders ng mga iba naman, no, yung mga deeper levels. And kapag naubos na yung mga orders na yan, talaga pwedeng tumagos na yung market pababa. No, wala na sasalo eh. So, yan yung, kumbaga, the idea behind it. Again, that's a little bit advanced. Pero I hope that you get the gist of it. All right. Parang martingale po. To some extent, yes. No? Kasi yung bangko, kumbaga parang infinite yung bulsa niyan eh. So, they can do that. And it's fine. Tayong mga retail traders, we can't do that. No? Kasi ubus tayo dyan kapag talagang tumulo yung market pababa. Okay. So, kaya nga, kung mapapansin mo as retail traders, what we normally do is we just follow the trend. No? Hindi natin sinasabayan yung reversals masyado, no? Yung reversals, hinintay na natin siya mag-reverse, tapos medyo nag-trend na siya paakyat, saka tayo papasok, no? Pero hindi natin sinasalo. Alright. Okay ba? Kaya ba? Medyo malinaw na yung discussion sa atin, di ba? Hindi naman too heavy. I hope you get to understand why we're doing this, no? Yun naman yung important part. Hindi tayo robotic na, oh, ganito yung support, ganito yung resistance, buy tayo dito, sell tayo dito. Hindi, let's try to understand why the price moves that way. No? Kaya nga price action yung tawag natin. Alright. So, yung sa fake outs mamaya, pag-usapan natin. No? And mainly sa ano na yun eh. Idadaan na lang natin siya through the strategy itself. Kasi maraming paraan para malaman kung tunay ba yung hindi na natin fully malalaman no, kung talagang fake out siya or hindi. No? Kumbaga, it just gives us a better chance of getting good breakouts talaga instead of fake outs. May gagamitin tayo strategy mamaya to filter some of them out. Okay? Alright. So ngayon, paano natin hahanapin yung supports and resistances? Now we have a better concept of it. How do we actually find that on our charts? No, there's multiple ways to find your supports and resistances, but this is how I personally find them. What you do is, sige, hanap tayong chart. Anong gusto niyo chart para mas applicable kagad? Give me a chart and the time frame. Itong method naman to, you can use it for any time frame. Pero the higher the time frame, the better. Kasi yung mga levels mo laging mas matitibay sa higher ones. Okay, so gold, H4, Euro USD. Alright, let's try to have two. Anong gusto yung time frame sa Euro USD? Unahin mo natin si H4 sa gold. Alright, so looking at gold right now, so first thing that we need to do is we need to identify the big swings in the market. No? Hanapin nyo yung mga swings. Okay? So there's actually a lot of them. And so hanapin natin. So dito na lang. Ang laki kasi nung binagsak ng market na we need to look at the bigger picture. Okay. So over here, mapapansin nyo po na marami tayong mga swings na nakita sa market. No? And as much as possible, we want to take a look at the bigger ones. For example, bumagsak yung gold dito, di ba? Akyat, di ba? Bagsak. Konting-konting akyat. Bagsak. Akyat. Bagsak. Di ba? Akyat. Bagsak. Akyat. Bagsak. Akyat. Bagsak. Okay? So, yan yung kumbaga itsura ng mga swings natin sa market. Alright? So, just keep it simple. No? Hindi nyo naman kailangan pahirapan yung sarili nyo. Just look at the bigger ones. May mga maliliit, fine. But try to take note of the bigger ones. No? If you're having a hard time with that, try to use your zigzag indicator para mas madaling hanapin. No? Insert, indicators, custom. Baba kayo dito sa zigzag. And that can help you find the swings a little bit better. No? Okay. So, ayan yung ating zigzag indicator. So, if you actually clear out yung ating swings, ayan. So, makikita nyo may mga swings na siya nagawa. And just try to look for the bigger ones, no? Hindi yung mga maliliit. So, for now, let's try to stick to the zigzag indicator para medyo standard, no? But later on, it's better if you kind of find your own swings, no? Mas madali siya, no? Sa totoo lang. Pero for the meantime, sige, zigzag muna tayo. Okay. So, let's try to identify the big swings with our zigzag. So clearly, no, meron tayong swing dito, meron tayong swing dito, dito, 'di ba? Here, here, here. Yan. Ito yung mga maliit, di natin ito consider ang liit eh. Ito yung mga malaki. Yan, so back. So, with that, tignan natin ngayon yung talagang pwede nating gamitin for supports and resistances, no? So you have one here. See that? Diba? That's a big swing. So alam natin dito sa taas may possible resistance, no? Market went down here. Okay? This is a possible support. Makyat, no? Possible resistance, possible support, resistance, support, resistance. Sa ngayon, hindi pa siya nagbabounce eh. So, hindi pa siya considered as a support. So, if our current price is over here, di ba? Ito yung ating current price. Nasaan ang ating immediate supports and resistances? Definitely, yung ating resistance, it can be this one. Okay? Kasi yun yung pinaka-recent na swing sa taas. It can also be this one kasi ito yung dati mong support na ngayon ay possible na resistance na. So you have this area right here and this area right here na pwede mong maging resistances for your gold ng H4. Yung ating support sa ilalim, hindi natin masyadong sigurado, no? Kasi hindi pa talaga nagsuswing masyado yung market eh. So, but let's try to put it somewhere here. No? Dito banda yung ating support. So, itong mga areas na to, yan yung ating potential supports and resistances. Now, if you want to be very specific with it, what you can do is to take a look at the swing itself. No? So, tingnan mo yung swing na to. Clearly, no, malaki yung swing na yan. And, so ito yung swing na nakita natin kanina. It's over here. I'm just zooming it a little bit. Tignan nyo po yung pinakadulong candlestick ng swing. Kung mahaba po yung wick niya sa taas, I'm talking about resistances. Kung mahaba po yung wick niya sa taas, you can use that whole thing as your resistance. Yan. So, yung buong area po na yan, that is your resistance. Now, if it's too small, what you can do is you can use the whole candlestick if you like. No? Pwede rin naman yung buong candlestick. Pero kung malaki siya, ay kung maliit lang yung candlestick, gamitin mo yung buo, okay lang. No? Kung mahaba yung wick sa taas, gamitin mo yung buong wick, mas maganda. No? Ngayon, kung medyo mahirap, no, kumbaga medyo manipis yung wick, malaki din yung candlestick natin, you can use just half of that, no? Half of your candlestick, no? Mainly yung kalahati ng katawan ng candlestick mo. And that can be your whole resistance area. And true enough, makikita nyo, actually kahit yung wick nga lang yun, kinuha lang ng market dito. Ayun, no? Kuwang-kuha lang ng market, oh. Diba? Tapos bagsak na agad. Okay? So that's your resistance there. Ayusin natin Yan. Gamitan natin yung buo para mas madali makita on the bigger scale. Tapos, so over here, if the market extends there, yan yung ating possible resistance na may taas. No? It's around 1822.74. Now, is this a good resistance? It's not bad, no? Kasi kahit pa paano, medyo malaki-laki yung swing. Alangan lang tayo ng konti kasi tinest na nung market once. Kita nyo, di ba? Sinagad na nung market eh. So if you're, thinking about the uh, idea that we had before na may mga possible orders dito, naubos na lahat yan. Okay? So the next time price goes up there, pwede na niyang tagusan yan. Hindi na ganun kalakas. Diba? So yun lang naman yung kumbaga consideration natin dyan. Now the next one is a potential support over here na binasag. Di ba? So your support, let's assume na ito yung ating swing sa ilalim. So kunin mo yung tipmost candlestick. Get the wick. Yun. Diba? Ito yung pinaka-support na natin eh. So, kunin mo yung tipmost candlestick dyan. Zoom in ko Yan. Which is this candlestick over here. Kinuha ko yung buong wick niya. So, that's our support. Pero binasag lang. So, that can now be our new resistance. No? So, kumbaga yan yung pinakamalapit na level na pwede siyang tumalbog. Okay? So, if you're looking to sell gold, we have to wait for gold to actually come back up here before we are able to sell. Okay? Kapag tinagusan niya yan, yung next level, dito tayo magbebenta. Pero itong level to, parang alangan tayo kasi malambot eh. Okay? Now, if we're going to buy, then, hanap tayo ng support, no? In this case, medyo ang hirap tignan nung support natin sa H4. Kasi ang haba ng wick eh. So, pag ganyan, you can go to a lower time frame. H4 tayo, baba tayo H1. No? And use the same principle we had earlier. Yan. So makita nyo, parang halos isang block ito, di ba? So maybe you can use half of that. But I'm not sure if it still will be enough. Yan, medyo malaki pa rin eh. Okay, that's your support. Pag ganyan, hindi na tayo sigurado kasi parang pilit na siya eh. No? So what you can do, go back to H4. Tignan mo talaga yung previous movement ng market. Ayan. So nakikita nyo po na possible, ito yung ating support. Kita nyo yung swing na to. Actually, ito yata yung kinuha eh. Ayan, di ba? Very clear yung swing natin dyan. Yan yung ating support, di ba? Tapos, as the market went through, ilagyan natin linya. Yan. Okay. So, itong area mismo yung support na yan eh. Okay. So, as the market went up here, di ba? Akyat, akyat, akyat. Tapos, mamaya-maya, diretso siya pa ba? Ayun, saktong-sakto kinuha. So, if you take a look at that area right there, dyan kinuha yung presyo, it used it as a support, pumalbog siya pataas. Next time price comes down here, ito pa rin yung potential support pero kinuha na niya once eh. So kumbaga yung mas malambot na siya ngayon. So may possibility babasagin na niya yan. Okay. Clear? Nakita nyo? May sense. Actually, gumana nga yung mga supports and resistances natin dito sa gold. If you're able to identify that earlier, you could have taken that position. Pero, kumbaga, medyo antapang eh. No? Kasi biglang tulo yung gold dyan. So, biglang lipad eh. No? So, pero still, at least our theory held its ground. No? Alright, paano po lalabas yung mga pair tab sa baba ng chart? Yung dyan, right-click ka lang. For example, right-click ka dito, click chart window, magbubukas siya ng bagong chart. No? So, ito yung mga lahat ng binuksan mong chart dati. Okay? Saan ba yung chart natin na wala na tayo? Gold, gold. Yan. Alright, check lang natin YouTube baka may tanong ka saglit. Okay, wala pa naman. Ayan, si Sir Carlo, good evening po. Okay, let's go back to our slides, no? So, yun po ang ating supports and resistances, no? So, what I suggest is that you try to practice it, no? Identify kayo ng supports and resistances and check nyo, no, kung tatalbog yung market doon, no? Maybe you can backtest a little bit, no? Do it blindly, backtest ka, just pick a date. Tapos from there, draw supports and resistances like crazy. Tingnan mo as the chart moves, no? Tumalbog ba siya supports and resistances? How did it react? So, yun yung one of the quickest ways, no, para matest natin yung ginawa natin. All right? So, okay. So, moving forward, no, yun ang ating supports and resistances. Now, take note na yung supports and resistances natin may not always be horizontal, no? Maraming times na they will be at an angle. And pag ganon, usually medyo mas manipis yung tingin natin sa market, no? So, let me just open the charts a little bit. Ay, haba. Yan, yan. Okay. So, for example, no, especially if you go to a lower time frame, clear ko lang para mas malinis tignan. Ayan. Palitan din natin yung para mabago-bago naman. Euro USD. No? Let's try D1 siguro, Euro USD or H1. Okay. H1 tayo para medyo lower time frame naman. Alright. So over here, mapapansin nyo that there are times wherein your supports and resistances are not exactly horizontal. No? For example, makikita mo that they can be at an angle. See? Alright. So pagdating sa ganyan, ito yung mahirap na part, no? Whenever your supports and resistances are at an angle. What the best thing that you can do is try to line up yung mga tops and bottoms ng market. Okay? Hanapin yung mga extremes ng market, try to line it up, no, as your tops and bottoms. And that's the best you can do. You can draw a line from there. Mahirap gumawa ng area from it, no? Pwede rin naman, kabari, this is like your area for your support, no? This is an area for your resistance. Pwede din naman, no? So, you can do that a little bit, but it takes a little bit of practice, no? So, ganun pa rin yung concept, no? You're looking at the wicks of the candlestick, pwede mo pa rin gamitin yon, pero at an angle lang sila. Okay? Alright. So, ngayon kasi parang halos wala pa eh. No? Mukhang dire-diretso lang po buy market. Let's try H4 charts. Ayan. So, ito medyo maganda. No? So, looking at this one over here. Ayan. Kita niyo yung market dyan. That's a very nice looking trend line, di ba? Pababa. Paipit siya ng paipit. After a while, it gave us a very nice breakout. Ayun, linis ng breakout dyan, no? You have a very nice breakout over here. Tapos bumalik yung market, ni-retest niya yung dati mong resistance, which is now a new support, lumipad sa pataas. Yeah? And then from there, no, bumaba ulit yung market. So ngayon, parang halos wala pa masyadong very steep kung nag-draw ka ng trend line. Medyo mahirap yan sundan, no? Okay? But if you are following that very short-term trend, no, sa H4 chart, then we assume, no, the market would continue downwards. Pero kapag na-break niya tong resistance mo, kunwari, it goes up here, breaks your resistance, then that could be a reversal. Okay? Clear? Malinaw po yung trend lines. So basically what you do, you try to pick the tops and bottoms no market, no, yung mga swings niya. Tapos try to draw diagonal lines with it. And you get your trend lines. No? Tapos from your trend lines, gagawa tayo ng channels natin, gagawa tayo ng mga patterns natin. No? So kumbaga, saka na nating gagawan siya ng sense. No? Alright. So clear pa naman so far. Let's take a quick break. No? Kasi we've been at this for like an hour straight. Let's have a quick 5-minute break. Okay na ba ang 5 minutes? Okay. So on my clock, it's 8:06. Let's resume 8:11. So 5-minute break lang. Alright. So, ano oras ba? Ayan, so still have a minute. May mga questions kayo before we move forward? Check ko lang din sa YouTube, baka may mga tanong tayo. Alright, so far so good. Wala naman tanong sa YouTube. Okay, game na. Let's resume. So ngayon, with the trend lines no, that we talked about earlier, saka na tayo pwedeng gumawa ng very familiar patterns. No? We have channels. No? Basically, channels are created when trend lines are parallel to each other. And as much as possible, no, trade tayo with the trend when channels do appear. So from yung channels natin na yan, ito yung medyo mahirap na part kasi to some extent it's a little bit subjective kung ano yung mga tops and bottoms na gagamitin mo. So it takes a little bit of practice. It takes a little bit of practice no to get it right no. And actually even with a lot of practice, walang tamang, there's no ultimate way to be right about it no. There's a lot of traders who've been doing it for like 10 years and hit or miss pa rin no. So kumbaga hindi siya ganun ka-precise na technique. No? So anyway, so yun yung ating channel. So try to look for tops and bottoms, make a trend line out of that, and yun yung pwede nating sundan. No? So you can see that kung yung market natin is going upwards, that's an uptrend. If it's going down, it's a downtrend. No? Hindi na natin pag-aaralan masyado yung tops and bottoms, yung higher high, higher low, yung mga ganyan-ganyan. Kasi mamaya yung strategy na gagamitin natin already identifies it for you. Hindi mo na kailangan bilangan yung tops and bottoms. Ha? Alright. So, whenever you see trend lines like these ones, no, or yung channels natin, ito yung rules natin no, kung paano natin gagamitin yan. No? So, if you see an upward channel, we only buy bounces no, doon sa ating support and we only sell at the break of your support. So, notice na kapag upwards yung channel, we don't actually do anything with the resistance. Gagawin lang natin gagamitin lang nating target yan kung bumili ka. Okay? So, balik tayo dito sa balik tayo dito sa ating channel. So, if you take a look at this channel over here, it's trending upwards. Okay? So, pag paakyat po siya, makikita natin na you have opportunities to buy. Kunwari, umakyat yung market, na bumaba, umakyat. So you pretty much have a trend line established from here. And then the third time, no, it comes back down a little bit and gives you some sort of a reversal sa market. Pwede ka maghanap ng opportunity to buy dyan. No? Yung target mo can be your resistance. No? So at the point na bumili ka, ito yung resistance niya dyan, pwedeng yan yung target mo. Okay? So this is your buy area, yung stop loss mo nandyan, yung take profit mo nandun sa resistance dyan. No? If the trend line breaks, kanwari, bumaba siya dito, no? Tapos, binasag niya to. You have a bearish candlestick over here, gives you a very clean break. Aggressively, you can already sell. Okay? Ang stop loss mo would be at the recent high. Hanapin mo yung recent swing sa market. Diyan mo ilalagay yung stop loss. Take profit mo. It can be the next support or resistances that you have encountered. So over here, this is a very clear support. Di ba? Yung natutunan natin kanina. Yan yung pwede mong targetin. Pero, pagdating dito sa resistance, kanwari tinamaan dito during an uptrend, do we sell here? Definitely no. Kasi uptrend siya no? So, iwasan natin, kontrahin yung trend. So, we don't actually sell at the resistance during a channel that is going upwards. Lalo kapag binasag niya tong resistance mo na to during an uptrend and just gives you a steeper trend upwards, pag ganyan, wala din tayong gagawin. We don't actually buy at the breakout of that. Kasi nakakatakot yan, hindi na sustainable yung trend. Masyadong matarik. Okay? So we don't actually do anything. So pag upwards yung channel natin, we only take a look at the support. We can buy on the bounces ng ating support or we can sell upon break. So target point lang yung ating resistance. Malinaw? Bago tayo pumunta sa downwards channel. Medyo pareho lang naman downward channel, baliktad lang. No? Yan, sabi ni Sir Paul, the trend is your friend. It's good. Ito si Sir Julius. What can you say about naked Forex strategy? just for everyone to, get into it, ang naked trading, hindi ibig sabihin nun hubad kayo magte-trade. Ang ibig sabihin po nun, um, wala kayong nilalagay na indicator sa charts nyo. It's just mostly supports and resistances lang, bounces and breaks lang. So, okay yun actually, no? It's a good strategy to hi sir, ayun medyo binuksan niyo yung video niyo. Pogi. I-off ko baka ma-distract yung mga iba. Okay. So, yung ano natin, no, going back, no? Yung naked trading, talagang pure supports and resistances lang. Pure price action lang talaga. No? So, okay siya. Personally, I did that for a long while. No? I think 2 or 3 years naked trading yung ginagawa ko. Makikita ko nun. It was good. No? A very minimalistic way to trade and it's great. No? I do recommend it. But eventually, no, ngayon, I try to combine it with a couple more things. It makes it easier for me. No? Plus, heavy on fundamentals mas gumanda yung trading results ko. No, but before I did naked trading, okay siya. No, it's great. I suggest you go into it. No. So kung ano yung tinuro natin actually ngayon sa price action, it's majority naked trading. No. Ang kulang mo na lang dito is market structure, which is something that you learn with Coach Alex M. Okay. So, maraming klase yung mga market structure. Eh. You have your Dow Theory, you have harmonics. Ang pag-aaralan natin is more on yung Wyckoff. Okay. So, yun ang main focus natin. Alright. So, anyway, moving forward, no? So, kung downwards naman yung ating channel, halap na lang tayo ng relevant example para ayan. So as you can see here, we do have currently a downwards channel with Euro USD. We can sell dito sa resistance area natin ng ating channel, no? Which is a little bit scary kasi makikita nyo very steep yung trend. Okay? So you can sell, pwede naman, no? Medyo nakakatakot lang, but better yet, if the market breaks your resistance, then you can actually buy there. No? Kunwari, binasag niya dyan, stop loss mo nasa ilalim ng recent low, and your take profit could be the recent support or kumbaga yung mga recent resistances natin. Just like this one. No? Ito, medyo recent resistance natin. That could be your target, or it could be this one. That could be your target. Okay? Pero yung ating support, hindi tayo bibili dyan. No? Kasi downtrend siya eh. So, hindi natin kakontra yan. Alright. So, malinaw po yung channel sa atin. Before we go to yung patterns natin. Okay. So, mukhang malinaw naman, no? So, dito na tayo sa patterns natin. So, ang madalas nating hinahanap sa market, no? Again, there are a lot of ways to trade the market. And specifically, this is something that we see a lot, no, when we follow the trend. So, itong mga patterns na to, they look very similar to each other. And to be honest, para sa akin, pare-pareho lang naman sila talaga. Iba-iba lang yung itsura nila. So, it's good to take note those types of varieties para lahat yan kaya natin i-trade. So, you have your flags, pennants, and wedges. No? So, may 2 versions yan each. You have your bullish version and then your bearish version. So, let's take a look at your flags first. Anong ibig sabihin ng flag? Ang flag po, what you normally see here is an initial burst of movement sa market. So you have an existing trend and then you have a strong burst of movement together with that trend. So let's take a look at our bullish flag pattern first. Mapapansin nyo po dito that you have a strong burst of movement, no? Yun yung sinasabi kong burst of movement. Biglang lumipad yung market ng malakas, no? Very steep. And that is what we call a flagpole. No? So yan yung kumbaga basihan natin nung trade muna natin. Now, remember that the market doesn't move in a straight line. Nagpapahinga yan. So there is a time wherein it will go into consolidation. Okay? So magre-range yung market, ibig sabihin walang pinupuntahan. It will consolidate. Walang kumbaga up and down lang siya. So during that consolidation period, kumbaga parang bumibuelo yung market diyan, no? So when we see that consolidation area, relax lang tayo pero mag-aabang na tayo ng breakout, no? In line with our flagpole. So ibig sabihin kung ang existing trend mo ay uptrend, tapos meron kang flagpole dito na bullish, tapos nag-range yung market ng konti, maghahanap tayo ngayon ng breakout pataas. Kasi sinusundan natin yung initial burst of movement niya. So pataas lang yung breakout na hinahanap natin. Kung nag-breakout yung market pababa, wala tayong gagawin dyan. Okay, pataas lang. Now, the conditions for a flag is that yung ating consolidation, yung tops and bottoms niya are relatively parallel to each other. Okay? So, kumbaga parallel yung makikita nating tops and bottoms. And that will give you a flag pattern. Now, yung ating consolidation, it can actually point against your initial burst of movement. Makita nyo yung flagpole nyo, pataas di ba? Tapos yung ating consolidation, it can be going down a little bit. Okay yan, pasok yan na flag. Pwede rin, meron kang initial burst of movement, tapos yung consolidation mo is horizontal. Kanwari, ganyan. Okay din yan. Pasok din na flag pattern yan. Ang hindi pasok na flag pattern is you have your initial burst of movement, yung consolidation mo pataas din. Pag ganyan, hindi yan flag pattern. Actually, may chance na magre-reverse yung market kapag ganyan ang itsura niyan. Okay? Pero for now, hindi natin gagamitin yun. No? So, it can be against your general direction, no? Yung flagpole natin, or it can be horizontal, ayos lang. Hanap ka ng breakout to the top side. Now, for your bearish flag pattern, it's the same thing, pababa lang siya. No? So, your general trend is going downwards. You have an initial burst of movement ng pababa, very strong. Your consolidation can be against that, so it can be slightly rising. Okay, or pwede siyang horizontal. And then if it breaks to the downside, saka tayo papasok sa market. Okay? Now, if you take note of your pennant and your wedges, halos pareho yung itsura niya with some slight changes. Yung ating pennant, yung supports and resistances mo ng ating consolidation, imbis na parallel siya, it's actually anong tawag doon? Paipit ng paipit, no? So it's going to converge at one point in time. So yung ating resistance is going lower, no? Pero yung support mo is going higher. So at one point in time, yung ating support and resistance will meet at an apex, no? Makikita silang dalawa sa gitna. And that's your pennant pattern. Yung conditions natin, same thing. Kung ano yung flagpole at yung ating current trend, yun pa rin yung susundan natin na breakout. So kung pataas yung flagpole mo, pataas na breakout ang hinahanap natin. Kung binasag niya yung pababa, wala tayong gagawin dyan. Out lang tayo sa market. Okay? For a bearish pennant, it's the same thing. Pababa lang naman. No? Now, one of the main differences between flags and pennants is that one of the popular theories in price action is that the tighter the price gets, ibig sabihin yung consolidation mo very tight. Kumbaga, hindi masyadong wide yung range ng tops and bottoms. The tighter it gets, the stronger the breakout. Para kasing spring yung price. The tighter you coil it, the stronger the snapback. So, yung kita mo yung consolidation ng price, mas tight yung pennant natin compared to flag patterns. So, we might expect stronger breakouts when we see pennants. Okay? So, yun yung one of the main differences nila. Now, for a wedge naman, pareho lang ulit. No? Ang pinagkaiba lang niya is imbis na magko-converge yung ating support and resistances at an apex, no, compared dun sa pennant, yung ating falling wedge, magko-converge din naman siya. Pero, ang difference is that both of them are pointing towards the same direction. At different angles lang, kaya pa rin sila magko-converge. So, mapapansin nyo yung pennant natin, yung ating highs are going lower, yung lows natin are going higher, di ba? So, kumbaga, ito pataas talaga yung angle, ito pababa. Pero yung wedge natin, pareho silang angle. So, makikita mo yung ating falling wedge, parehong pababa yung ano natin, yung highs natin pababa, yung lows natin pababa din. Pero different angles sila, kaya magkakaroon pa rin ng apex. Okay? And same rules, no? Kung ano yung initial flagpole natin, initial burst of movement, yun yung susundan natin. No? And same thing with a rising wedge. And ganun din, since you do experience a tighter consolidation in these types of patterns, mas malakas yung potential movement ng market kung yan yung nakikita natin. Alright? So malinaw po yung ating mga flags, pennants, and wedges bago natin hanapin sa charts. Yan, marami tayong makikita niyan. No? Saglit, check ko lang sa YouTube, baka may mga tanong.
Hey, Coach.
Uy, ayun! Kamusta pakiramdam mo, sir?
Okay naman.
We have
idagdag na rin,
Sir
idagdag
Alex
na
M
rin
in the
natin.
house. Oh, sige, sige. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Idagdag na rin natin yung triangle since in continuation pattern din naman siya.
Ayun,
So you
sige.
can add the triangle itself. So, pwede mo, asan yung ano mo, panulat mo?
Wait lang, i-share. Pwede ko ba i-share sa'yo or ako na maghahanap?
So yung triangle lang na may
Wait lang.
sige.
Hanap lang ako ng empty spot.
Triangle pattern para madami na yun.
Patterns. Pero mandami kasi dyan eh. Magsasawa kayo dyan. Wait lang, hanap tayo. Ang daming stuff sa chart.
Ascending triangle para masama.
Wait lang. Naghanap tayo. Puro flag eh. Wait lang.
Kaya nga, wala tayo ngayon eh. Pero madalas na lumalabas na rin naman siya. Lalo pag nasa mga full numbers, lumalabas yung karamihan. Madalas.
Okay,
so,
sige.
pwede yung isama siya. Yung ganung triangles kasi may ano yan eh.
Yung parang ganyan.
Annotate. Yeah. Madalas yung top kasi
sorry,
yan.
Ang pangit ng drawing. Pero
okay lang yan.
At least, ayan. So, here's an example of... Sige. Go. Ikaw na lang.
Hindi, I-explain ko lang. Kasi most of the time, kung tinamaan nyo yung mga big numbers, like the whole numbers, the double zeros, the triple zeros, no? Mag-hold yan doon. And kung nakikita nyo yung price action, yung bottom part ng triangle, it's going up, di ba? So, sabihin yung pressure is, yung price is pressuring the horizontal line sa taas, no? So, if price builds up, then syempre, sasabog yun no, sa taas. So, yan yung idea ng price action na yan. Okay, so, yun yung ano niya, yun yung isa sa mga gagamitin natin. Same, kasi pare-pares lang naman sila eh. I mean, you have a trend and price post. Di ba? Nag-post lang yung presyo, tapos doon tayo papasok para makapasok lang tayo. Yun yung purpose talaga ng mga yan. So, kung gusto nyo kabisaduhin kung ano tawag sa kanila, it's up to you kung gusto nyo. Pero sa pagtagal kasi masasanay na lang kayo makita sila sa chart, no? Ang hindi nyo lang talaga gusto makita is yung triangle is yung top part niya is above ng horizontal line, no? Yung kaya in-explain ni Coach kanina na medyo may konting paakyat, no, na angular motion na angle yung top part ng
parang pag ganun.
hindi, that's not tradable kasi ang mangyayari diyan, exhausted yung price, umakyat, and it's trying to go up pero wala na siyang momentum, no? So kahit na may momentum siya sa baba, yung inaakyat niya, wala nang kaya, no? It's losing steam. So high probability niyan malalaglag like yung DXY sa panahon na to. Kaya hindi natin yung tinitrade. Okay, so makapasin yung mga ganong price actions. Okay, masasanay kayo dyan. Ilan naman?
Ayun. Thank you. Alright. Bagay, ano pala yan si Sir Alex M, bagong bakuna. Buti okay ka.
Wala masyado sa moderna eh.
si Coach Alex S ang medyo na dead. Okay.
Astro yung masakit eh.
Astro eh. Anyway, so okay, thank you. Alright, so looking at that, no, pwede na natin siguro pasukin ngayon yung ating signature strategy sa PAFT. Actually, yung signature strategy natin is based on a couple of Bollinger Bands, no, and momentum indicators. And to be honest, sa simula, no, pwede nyo siya talaga gamitin kung talagang hindi natin masyadong gamay yung charts. But eventually, you can actually take it out. Kasi even without it, medyo nagigets mo na yung chart eh. No? You might not be able to need it anymore in the future. So, kumbaga parang, sa totoo lang, more on training wheels yung itsura niya eh, no, for now, no. Pero eventually when you do get the hang of it, you might not need it anymore. Okay? So anyway,
honestly lang yung may naman ito yung mga charting yung isang chart ko doon as a naked chart para lang makita ko yung movement, yung swings. Kasi kapag may indicators ka, medyo hindi mo nakikita yung swings. No? So kung nakita ko na yung, ano yung swing, doon pala nilalagay yung indicators. Malalaman ko kung ano yung ibang storya na binibigay ng indicators. No? So,
Tama.
yeah, hindi sila kailangan talaga. It's just mas mabilis lang makita talaga yung galaw ng chart given the indicators. Yun lang naman talaga yung purpose ng indicators natin eh. It's not to give us signals when to enter, pero mabilis lang makita kasi we are going to look at hundreds of charts every day. So, masasanay na kayo sa mga patterns na yan.
Alright. Okay. So, ayan, wait lang. Buksan ko lang yung saglit. Buksan ko lang yung ating slides for that.
So yeah, binubuksan mo. Sipin nyo, no, yung D1, I mean sa live natin, live sessions, di ba, may have 30 charts na agad doon, no? D1 pa lang ay H1 lang 'yon. So lagay mo H4, that's another set of charts. D1 another set of charts. Doon pa lang meron ka ng 90. Wala, pwede pa lang sinasama yung CFDs, cryptos. Okay, yun itong ginagamit natin na to, we use this sa lahat. As in sa lahat. Hindi lang siguro sa ano no sa wallet ko pero sa lahat.
Actually, ano naman to, applicable to for any market, for any financial market or if any financial instrument na gusto nyo i-trade. Whether it be Forex, stocks, kahit crypto, try nyo, gagana yan. Kasi yung main purpose nung ano natin, nung strategy natin, it's a trend following strategy. No? So kumbaga, any instrument that trends, it's going to work. No, yun yung main principle niya. No? And what's nice about it is that when the market is not trending, mafi-filter out natin. No? Kung hindi siya nagte-trend, wala tayong trade. No? Relax ka lang. So, all right. So, this is the general setup ng ating indicators. No? So, first one is you have your Bollinger Bands. No? Dalawa yan. And then you have your RSI. So, before we plug it in, I'd like to discuss it a little bit. No? Ano ba yung Bollinger Bands at ano ba yung RSI na yan? No? Pag-usapan lang natin. Let's, open our charts and alamin lang natin, no? So, makikita nyo po yan dito. Insert, indicators. Unahin natin si Bollinger Bands. Trend, tapos ito po si Bollinger Bands. No? So, once you plug it in your charts, meron ka ngayong settings na pwedeng ilagay. For the meantime, let's put it at default first. Tapos mamaya, meron tayo dadagdag na adjusted. No? So, meron ka ditong period na 20. Tapos meron kang deviation na 2 and then apply to the closing price. No? So once you click that, kakapalan ko lang ng konti para makita natin talaga yung itsura. Yan. Okay. So once you click that, basically you have 3 lines on your charts. No? Meron ka ngayon tinatawag na middle band, yun yung nasa gitna. Tapos meron kang upper band, yan yung linya sa taas. Tapos meron kang lower band, yan yung linya sa baba. No? So what you actually are seeing here is you have a moving average dito sa gitna ng period 20. Kasi diba 20 yung sinet natin eh. So you have a moving average here in the middle. Ano ba yung moving average? A moving average basically averages the closing price of a particular number of candlesticks. In this case, you're averaging the past 20 candlesticks closing prices. So kung ano yung average nila, yun yung linyang nakikita mo dyan. No? So yan yung linya kung saan tinatawag natin bumabalik at bumabalik yung presyo. No? Binabalikan niya lagi yung linya na yan. That's your middle band. No? That's the concept of the middle band. Laging price goes back to the middle band. Okay, now, ano naman tong upper band at saka lower band natin? No? Yung upper band and lower band natin, kino-consider niya kung gaano kalikot yung presyo, no? How volatile price is, how much it can move up and how much it can move down. So meron tayong ginagamit diyan na standard deviation, no? So yan yung kumbaga ano yung normal deviation ng price from the middle band, no? Gaano ba siya dapat kalayo umaabot? So kung standard deviation lang na 1, that means no, 1 standard deviation lang, yun yung normal na pwede niyang ilayo. Now, if it goes to your standard deviation 2, meaning that's twice, no, doon sa normal niyang pwedeng ilayo, abnormal na yung movement na yon. And what you're seeing here sa upper and lower bands, you have standard deviation too. Meaning, if price reaches those level na yan, abnormal na yung price movement. No, masyado na siyang extreme. So, yun yung concept ng ating Bollinger Bands. Okay? So, ulitin ko, you have your middle band. That's the, kumbaga, middle line no, na binabalik-balikan. And then you have your upper band and lower band na extremes no, that you have two standard deviations there. Okay. So, let's put it aside first, no? Saka natin ipa-plug in mamaya doon sa strategy. Okay? So, malinaw yung ano natin, Bollinger Bands. Simple lang naman siya, no? Okay. Sir, kahit for lower time frames, the 1 minute, 15 minutes, 1 hour, pwede gamitin Bollinger Bands? Yes, you can use it, no? Kasi ang ginagawa lang naman niya talaga is that it gives you the moving average na gitna na 20. Tapos, binibigay sa yung possible extremes ng market, no, with the two standard deviations. Yun lang naman yung ginagawa niya. So, regardless of the time frame, it does exactly the same thing
Pero mag-ingat lang kayo kasi
sa lower
yung
time frame.
lower time frame, mas madumi yun. Mas maraming noise kaysa sa higher time frame. No? So, same yung accuracy ng framework, pero the price itself, iba gumalaw sa lower time frame.
Right. Kaya po kung mapapansin nyo, normally doon sa ating sessions, we try to stick to H4 and H1 para medyo malinis-linis yung galaw ng market. Kapag bumaba ka na kasi to M1, M5, yun, mahirap na i-trade. Alright. So, ayan. So, okay malinaw yung Bollinger Bands natin So, now let's try to put in yung ating RSI. Yung RSI natin, dito yan makukuha. No? Insert, indicators, oscillators, and then RSI, no? Relative Strength Index. Okay. So, once you open that, again, it's gonna ask you for some settings. Just leave it at default. Okay na yung 14 na period. Apply to close and click OK. And then you have this RSI over here. So ano yung nakikita natin dyan? Yung RSI natin would give you a separate window sa ilalim. Tapos kung mapapansin mo, the RSI will give you a value between 0 and 100. No? So yan yung parang number na ibibigay niya, no? Yung level. So we call that a banded indicator. Ang banded indicator, that means that it can only give you a set number, no? So it's only going to be between 0 and 100 or from whatever to whatever, no? Kumbaga banded siya. Now, with that, yung RSI natin, so it's gonna move between those levels. Tapos may makikita tayo ng mga 70, 50 at saka 30 diyan. No, actually yung 50 wala yan by default. You can just add it there. Later I'll show you how to do it. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng mga levels na yan? So, depende po kung nasaan yung RSI natin ngayon. It can tell you the current momentum of the market. Okay? So, ano ba muna ginagawa ng RSI? No? In essence, what RSI does is that it tells you how fast the rate of change nung price. No? So, meron siya sariling computation, pero tinitingnan niya gaano ba kabilis nagbabago yung presyo paakyat against yung presyo na pababa. No? So, if price is changing fast, no, kanwari, paakyat yung presyo. Tapos, yung rate ng pag-change niya, yung pace ng pag-akyat niya, mabilis, ang ibig sabihin nun, yung momentum mo malakas to the top side. Okay? So, malakas yung momentum mo paakyat. But once price is going up, paakyat pa rin siya, but it starts to slow down, no, yung pace ng pag-akyat niya. Anong sinasabi nun? Ang sinasabi nun is that momentum is starting to slow down. Even though it's still going up, the momentum to the upside, it's starting to weaken. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng RSI. Okay? So pag pababa naman yung presyo, no? Tapos mabilis yung pace ng pagbababa, no? Yung RSI mo, tutok din yan pababa, no? But once it starts to weaken, kumbaga pababa pa rin naman yung presyo pero yung rate niya ng pagbaba, humihina na, bumabagal na, then your RSI will start to rise from there. No? So with that, it shows you this blue line. No? So kung makikita nyo po, yung 50 line natin, this is your equilibrium line. No? Ibig sabihin, anything below 50 would show you a momentum to the downside. Anything above 50 would be a momentum to the upside. So makikita nyo ngayon, yung RSI natin is currently present below 50. That means our momentum is going downwards. However, napapansin nyo po na yung from here, di ba, itong area na to, ang bilis, no? Kumbaga, tutok na tutok pababa yung ating RSI. Okay? But right now, you can see that RSI is starting to rise up just a little bit. What is that telling us? This is telling us that the momentum is still going to the downside. Pababa pa rin naman siya kasi below 50K. Pero, mapapansin nyo, nagra-rise na ng konti yung RSI natin, meaning momentum is starting to weaken. No? Again, it's just starting to weaken. Hindi naman confirmed na magre-reverse yan, pero it's just telling us it's starting to weaken. Okay? So, yan ang ibig sabihin nun. Now, ano naman tong 70 and 30 natin? No? Yung 70 and 30 natin, that represents your overbought and oversold levels. If price goes down here below 30, no, that means it is oversold. Masyado nang bagsak yung presyo, meron na siyang chance na mag-retrace paakyat ng konti. Okay, yun lang ang sinasabi niyan. If it reaches your 70, that is already overbought, masyado nang maraming bumibili, pwede na siyang bumaba ng konti. No? It can retrace down a little bit. Okay? So yan yung ating overbought and oversold levels. For now, we won't be able to use it very much, no, sa ating strategy. Ang focus lang natin is more on the RSI itself. Nasaan yung RSI natin relative to 50? Is it below? Is it upwards? No? Or is it on top? Okay? So, malinaw yung ating Bollinger Bands in RSI? Clear ba? Okay. So, kaya pa ah. Dumudugo na ba? Hindi pa naman. Madali lang naman yung mga indicators natin. Coach, hindi ba may instances na kahit overbought, pwede pa rin mag-buy? Meron. So, may mga times talaga na ganyan. Kaya po, hindi natin masyadong ginagamit.
Confirmation lang yung RSI, hindi yan ano,
Oo.
hindi yan.
Hindi
Actually,
siya trade signal.
ginagamit lang namin for divergence, hindi talaga for the trend itself. Yung the trend,
True.
malalaman nyo na yung buong trend kung kailan magpo-pullback o kailan magpo-pause. Malalaman nyo na agad yun sa sa price action eh. Pero yung divergence niya kasi yun lang yung best case or yung best use for the RSI. Kasi meron siyang may ahead na parang signal para doon. Divergence. Okay, coach.
Let's discuss that, no? Gusto ko din i-discuss yung divergence para kompleto tayo. Okay lang ba? Lalalim tayo ng konti, no? Mag-ano na lang kayo kuha na lang kayong tissue pag medyo dumugo
Kape
na.
muna.
Wait lang. Give me a moment. Let me pull out some different slides for that para maano natin, no? Makuha natin divergence, no? Saglit Prepared tayo dyan.
Recorded. Meron tayong naka-live sa YouTube so you can replay doon.
Oo. At saka meron din ako separate doon. Meron din ako separate na video ng divergences din sa main channel natin. Wait lang And divergences.
Exit, entry and exit. Gusto nyo na sample?
Sige, mamaya gagawa tayo. Doon sa strategy na para simple na agad.
Doon na para isahan na lang. Nakikita nyo naman yun. Gamit namin lagi sa mga charts namin yun.
Yan. Okay. So, ano yung divergence ngayon, no? A divergence appears on a chart when the price of an instrument and an indicator move in opposite directions, no? Ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin nun, kung yung presyo mo paakyat, no? Tapos yung indicator mo pababa, that means magkaiba sila ng pinupuntahan, no? So there is a divergence, no? Kumbaga naghihiwalay silang dalawa. So whenever that happens, there's a potential for a reversal in the market, no? Tignan natin ngayon yung isang example of a divergence, no? So over here you have Euro USD and as you can see, price is showing you lower lows. Pababa yung presyo, di ba? Pero kung mapapansin niyo yung RSI, on the same points, it's actually going higher. So anong ibig sabihin yan? No? If you think back doon sa napag-usapan natin sa RSI, your RSI tells you kung humihina yung momentum ng market towards a certain direction. No? So, nakikita natin na yung presyo pababa, it's clearly trending downwards. But your RSI is starting to rise. No? Umaakyat na siya. On the same points, imbis na dapat lower lows siya, it's actually showing you higher lows. So that tells us that the momentum to the downside is starting to weaken. And when you have weakness doon sa trend mo, there's a possibility for a reversal. So pag nakita tayo ng divergence kagaya niyan, it serves as a warning sign. It's not really a trading signal, but it's a warning sign. So pag nakita ka ng ganyan, uy, may possible reversal tayo. So we may take a look at some price action strategies na pwede nating gamitin at maghahanap tayo ng reversal with that. So for example, you're looking at this trend line over here. Meron kang ginawang trend line dyan. Kapag bin-rate niya past that, then you can already look for opportunities to buy that. No? So yan yung isang example ng ating divergence. Now, if we go a little deeper into it, there's actually a couple of types of divergences. No? Meron kang regular divergences, you have hidden divergences, you even have complex divergences. For the meantime, I'd like to focus on regular divergences kasi yan yung magagamit natin talaga for reversals. No? Yung hidden at saka yung complex, nakaka-confuse sila, especially for starters. And to be honest, I don't really use it as much. Mas madali yung, kumbaga mas madalas nating magagamit yung regular. So, yung regular divergences, you have two types. You have a bullish regular divergence and then you have a bearish regular divergence. No? Yung ating bullish regular divergence po, what you see there is that the price shows you lower lows and the indicator is showing you higher lows. Just like what we had in our example. No? So for example, ito makikita natin na yung presyo natin is showing us lower lows pababa. Di ba? Pero yung ating indicator for this example, I'm using stochastics. No? Pareho lang naman. It's also momentum indicator. Yung ating lows dito are actually going higher. So mapapansin nyo may divergence. And from there, true enough, di ba? Upon break nito, umakyat na yung market, lumipad na siya. So that could have been a good opportunity for us to enter the market. Okay? Now, for a bearish regular divergence, ito naman, it's a warning sign na pwedeng bumagsak yung market. So what you see there is that price shows you higher highs while your indicator shows you lower highs. So ito po yung example niyan. Makikita nyo po, you have here, yung market natin shows you higher highs. Yeah? Tapos makita mo po yung ating indicator is starting to show you lower highs. And from there, di ba, bumaba yung market. Ito yung exact example na minention namin kanina na ayaw natin na triangle. Yan yun. So anyway, yan yung potential reversal na triangle. Anyway, from there, nakita nyo, upon break nito, that's a pretty good reversal sign. Tapos dito naman, mapapansin nyo, you still get higher highs there, here. Tapos yung indicator nyo is starting to show you lower highs. From there, upon break nito, bagsak nga naman yung market. No? So yan yung ating divergences. And if you actually take a hard look at it, nung time na nag-reverse naman yung market paakyat dito, you also have a divergence. Kita nyo, ito paakyat na, di ba? Ito pababa pa. So you have a divergence there. Dito naman po, di ba? Makikita nyo, this is still going downwards. Okay. Hindi, ito wala na pala yan. No? So talagang diretso akyat na siya. Alright. So yun po yung ating regular divergences. Is that clear? Now, I'd like to take note as well, no? Kasi yung mga iba, especially for those who have just learned this, maisip nyo, wow, okay yun that's not bad. Does that mean na sigurado kagad na magre-reverse yung market kapag may divergence? Hindi po, no? There will be times na didiretso siya pataas, no? So, kunwari, ito, may divergence ka, pero tuloy-tuloy pa siya pataas. If you take a look at your dollar index, no? Actually, mas makikita mo yun sa S&P 500. Maraming beses na talagang tumuloy lang siya pataas without the divergence, even with the divergence. So, you only take it as a warning sign. Kailangan yung entries pa rin natin are still based on price action. No? Breakouts pa rin, bounces pa rin. Yun pa rin yung ano natin, susundan natin. Okay? And there will also be times wherein bubuelo siya ng mas mataas pa. Kita nyo dito, higher highs na to. Tapos dito, lower highs eh. So dito pa lang actually divergence ka na eh. Pero nangyari, pumitik pa siya lalo isang beses pa sa taas. No? So that also happens in the market. And that's the reason why you only enter on price action entries. Kagaya nito, breakout lang. Alright. So, check natin kung may mga tanong. Sagutin natin isa-isa. Okay. Sir, vertical grid lines mo sa chart, ano po yung representation? Paano po yan nilalagay? Those are called period separators. Makikita nyo po yan pag pumunta kayo sa properties ng charts nyo. So, depende kung anong time frame, it separates it. So, kung daily, it separates months. Kung week, ay kung nasa H4 chart ka, it separates weeks. Kung H1 and below, daily ang separation yan. Okay. Pwede po ba yan ma-utilize for quick trades? Pwede din naman, no? Even on lower time frames, makakita ka din divergences. But then again, less reliable sa on lower time frames, no? Yan. Coach John, laging, laging handa. Oo, kompleto tayo dyan ng slides. Paano po, Coach, tatanggalin yung indicator? Okay. So, kung gusto nyo tanggalin yung indicator, saglit tayo, balik tayo sa ano natin. Sa ating chart. Okay. So sabihin natin gusto mo tanggalin yung indicator. The easiest way is to right-click on the indicator itself and click delete indicator. No? Kung hindi mo siya maklik, right-click ka anywhere on your charts, go to indicators list. Pag binuksan mo yan, makikita mo yung indicators mo, you can modify or delete it from there. Okay. So malinaw na, no? Kompleto na tayo. RSI, divergences, at saka yung mismong momentum, check. Bollinger Bands, check. Ngayon, pwede na natin aralin yung... Ay, sige. Go ahead, sir.
Warning lang sa RSI sa divergence. Perfect yun kapag tapos na. Okay. So, mahirap siyang makita habang
Ongoing.
nangyayari. So, mahirap siyang pumasok given yung divergence lang. Okay, so kaya siya mahirap i-trade. No? Kaya tuturo pa rin sa inyo is paano mag-trade gamit yung price action. Kasi yung lahat ng indicators na nakikita nyo sa chart, lahat yan galing lang sa price. Okay? Paano nabuo yung price? No? Paano nag-trade yung price? So, ang idea is lahat yun, lahat ng indicators ay lagging. No? Lahat yan is for confirmation lang. Okay? Hindi tayo magbabase ng mga entries natin. Okay? Para ano lang naman yun, para hindi kayo agad hindi niyo maisip na doon kayo naka-rely sa mga indicators. Okay? Para ma-practice na kayo agad na mag-rely kayo, makita niyo yung price, paano gumalaw yung price, at yun yung susundin natin. Okay?
Alright, thank you. Ito question, quick 2 candles po, di ba tapos na yung divergence? What do you mean? Like 2 candlesticks lang? Parang medyo manipis yata yung 2 candlesticks. Gamitin mo na lang yung swings para mas madali.
Yun,
Okay.
yan yung example na kaya hindi natin gagamitin yung para hindi na kayo ganyan mag-isip, no. Mag-iisip kayo, matututo kayo mag-isip, paano gumagalaw yung chart. Hindi yung nag-divergence, paano gagawin? Sabi ng chart, divergence na, so hindi ako maggagalaw ng ganito, no. Hindi ganoon, no? Gagamitin natin yung price action pa rin. Parang napansin sa live natin, kung nanood kayo ng live, may divergence nandito, so iniingatan natin bumili kasi yung isasabi lang ng divergence natin is exhausted na yung price, so baka pinipilit na lang natin, no, pag mag-sell tayo. Right now, may divergence ng Euro USD, makikita nyo, from the Joseph May, may divergence ka na sa part na yan. So from there, no, meron kang support from the previous March 20, yung March 23 area. So makikita nyo pa lang dyan na hindi advisable mag-sell. Yes, pwedeng malaglag, kahit ano pwedeng mangyari sa market, pero yung probability natin na mag-antay lagi nung ganyang setup na magsisell yan, hindi profitable. Okay? Mas profitable for us if we wait, mag-pull back yung price around that area and magsisell tayo. Okay? So yun yung idea na ginagamit natin. Okay?
Alright. So, thank you. Ayan. So, going back doon sa ating slides kanina.
Wait lang, coach, may tanong kayo dito. Anong Bollinger Band 2 daw?
What do you mean anong Bollinger Bands? Isa lang naman yan.
1 and 2 ata eh. Hindi, ay 1 pa lang yung napakita mo dyan eh. Pakita mo yung ginagamit natin.
Yung pangalawa, oo. Oh, wait. Ano lang natin. Buksan ko lang balik lang tayo sa slides natin. Ang hirap ng isang monitor lang. Wait lang. Okay.
Mamaya, papakita namin sa yung ibang mga trades na kinuha namin given yung mga setups na yan sa crypto. Kasi mas active yung crypto kaysa sa FX ngayon, kaya mas marami akong pondo na sa FX ngayon, sa crypto ngayon kaysa FX eh.
Oh, kung saan gumagalaw, sundan. Anyway, okay.
Nakagalaw eh,
So, ito yung
second league na eh.
ayan. Ito yung itsura ng setup natin ngayon, no? So, you can put in two Bollinger Bands, no? Yung isa standard deviation 1, yung isa standard deviation 2. Tapos yung RSI lalagay natin, no? Just default lang yung RSI natin. Now, let's try to set it up sa charts natin para medyo mas makita din natin, no? All right. So you have here yung ating Bollinger Bands na standard deviation 2. Let's try to plug in another one. Ayan, Bollinger Bands. Makikita nyo po, deviation. Gawin lang natin 1. Palitan natin yung kulay para hindi masakit sa ulo. Gawin natin red. O, di ba? Alam niyo yung nagsusulat kayo dati nung grade school. Okay. So you have here yung ating Bollinger Bands ngayon. No? So, ang importanteng area sa ating Bollinger Bands, dito tayo medyo maluwag-luwag. Okay. If we try to interpret kung ano yung sinasabi sa atin ng Bollinger Bands, is that when price is in between yung ating standard deviation 1 na Bollinger Bands, if price is in between that, that means normal yung galaw ng presyo. Bakit? Kasi yung gitna mo, that's your equilibrium line. Yung standard deviation 1 lines mo, no, yung taas at saka baba niyan, yan yung normal na pwedeng abutin ng market, no? Pero pag umaabot na siya dito, lumalagpas na siya sa standard deviation 1 mo and is in between your standard deviation 1 and 2, no, dito ka sa may bandang gitna, yan, nandito ka na banda sa may taas or dito sa baba, this means that the market is already moving at an abnormal pace. No? Kumbaga, hindi na siya nagre-range. Ibig sabihin, kapag yung market nandyan na sa area na yan, nagte-trend na siya. Alright? So that's the general idea behind it. Okay? If the market exceeds your standard deviation 1 at nasa loob siya ng standard deviation 1 and 2 mo, no? Either sa may taas or sa baba, the market is trending kapag nandoon siya. Okay? So yun yung idea. So gusto natin na abangan yung market na umabot doon sa may areas na yon. Okay? It's here or here. Alright? So, going back no doon sa ating slides. Yan. So, kompleto na yung ating setup ngayon. So, paano natin gagamitin yan? No? So, as mentioned earlier, yung normal moves ng market, price should be inside your Bollinger Band 1. Okay? So, kagaya nito. Pag yan, normal lang yung ating price setup. Pero kapag nandun na siya sa gitna ng Bollinger Band 1 and 2, kagaya nito, that means abnormal na yung price movement and it could be trending. So, ano yung rules natin ngayon for momentum, trend and momentum identification? Number 1, price has to be between Bollinger Band 1 and 2 to consider it as trending. Okay, so in this case, makikita nyo po, price here is clearly in between your Bollinger Band 1 and 2, so it's trending. Okay? Tapos, makikita nyo din po dito na yung ating RSI for momentum, it should be above 50. Diba? As we mentioned earlier, kailangan above 50 siya so that the momentum is relatively on the upside. Okay? Kapag pababa naman, it has to be below 50. So once you've confirmed that, no, kagaya nito, at this point in time, clear na uptrend siya, tapos yung market is, yung momentum niya is towards the upside. No? So with that, ito yung ating trade setup ngayon. The market must be trending with momentum. Okay, so kanina na-identify na natin yan. Price should be between Bollinger Band 1 and 2, tapos kailangan inline yung ating RSI. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to look for pullbacks, no, or retraces sa market back to your Bollinger Band 1 line or hanggang doon sa ating middle line. Okay? So kung matatandaan nyo, yung presyo po, hindi yan isang straight line umaakyat. Normally, it pulls back, no? Bumabawi ng konti bago siya tumuloy sa kanyang trend. So, yung areas kung saan natin pwedeng hanapin yung pullbacks na yon ay doon sa Bollinger Band 1 or sa middle line natin. No? Kaya na-mention natin kanina, yung middle line, yan yung linya na binabalik-balikan. Okay? So, doon natin siya pwedeng abangan. Now, kailangan po, the price must not exceed beyond Bollinger Band 1 on the opposite side. What does that mean? If we take a look at our chart here, makikita nyo dito, di ba, nagte-trend pataas. So, inaabangan natin bumalik yung linya, no, dito sa either Bollinger Band 1, either here, or dito sa middle line, pwede, no? But if price exceeds dito, sa Bollinger Band 1 on the opposite side, scratch na yung trade setup natin. Bakit? Kasi kapag nandyan na yung presyo sa gitna ng Bollinger Band 1 and 2 sa baba, trending na yung market sa baba. So, kumbaga, wala nang sense kasi uptrend nga hinahanap natin. Okay? So, if you take a look at this setup over here, di ba? Naghahanap tayo ng retracement. No, kita nyo, di ba? Parang medyo flag pattern siya, di ba? Market is going up. You do have a retracement here. So, inaabangan natin siya sa Bollinger Band 1. Uy, okay to. Umabot na dito. Umabot na siya sa middle line. Uy, pwede. No? Pero, pag umabot na siya dito sa ating opposite side ng Bollinger Band 1, then automatically scratch na yung trade setup natin. Okay? So, if we go back here, makikita nyo po, at this point in time, our trend is confirmed. Diba? Bakit? Kasi po, mapapansin nyo, that the market is in between Bollinger Band 1 and 2, dun sa may taas. Tapos yung RSI natin is above 50. The next thing that we need to do is to wait for the market to pull back dito sa ating Bollinger Band 1 na line sa taas or sa middle line, but not exceeding yung ating Bollinger Band 1 line sa baba. Okay? So in this case, hindi naman, di ba? And with that, if you take note doon sa mga pinag-aralan natin kanina, you have multiple patterns to use this with, no? If you go to a lower time frame, probably this is gonna show you some sort of a flag pattern, okay? Or if you're looking at it at a bigger perspective, that is showing you an ascending triangle. So kita nyo, medyo nagsasama na yung price action natin together with your indicators. So you can now see it on multiple fronts, no? And from here, saan tayo papasok ngayon? Definitely, you want to enter upon break of that pattern. Okay? Kasi mara, ascending triangle yung sinunod natin dito. No? Dito ka bibili. No? Kung sinunod mo naman yung flag pattern, dito ka bibili. Okay? So over here, you see a pullback, di ba? Tapos ito na yung entry natin, no? Let's try to define it a little bit more. Wait lang, may konting tanong dito. Ito si Sir Gian, sana binabalik-balikan. At least dito sa presyo babalik-balikan tayo. No? Hindi ko lang alam sa ibang bagay. Okay. Wait lang. Coach, may nabasa ako pag na-touch ang candle sa Bollinger Band, overbought and oversold to. Yes, no? Kunwari, yung dun sa dulo, di ba? Kasi standard deviation 2 siya, no? Ibig sabihin, extreme yung market. So, that's also one way of looking at your Bollinger Bands, no? But for this one, maapektuhan ba yung strategy natin? Not really. Kasi we only enter doon sa pullback. No? Hindi naman natin papasukin yung market kapag nandun sa extremes. Eh. So, it doesn't really affect us. But good
Yung ano
question.
na
No?
yun, yung ganon na pag na-touch yung Bollinger, classic way yung pagta-trade yun. That's bouncing the Bollinger Band na strategy. Ginagawa yun, pwedeng gawin pag ranging yung market mo, hindi trending. Pero kung ganun, mas marami kang ibang indicators na pwedeng gamitin, hindi yung Bollinger Band kasi mas mahirap yung Bollinger Band pa nag-range, lumiliit.
Oh, atapang tao pag nagsalo ka dun. pag nagtitrade ka ng bounces arranging dun.
Oo.
Ayun. Anyway, okay, coach, paano ilagay yung 50 sa RSI? Wait lang ha. Sige, bago tayo sa entries, lagay lang. Ay, sige, mamaya. Unahin muna natin yung entries para hindi nawawala yung ano natin, trend of thought natin. No? So, alright. Paano ngayon yung mismong entry natin, no? So, we move to a lower time frame, one step down. So, kailangan meron tayong peg muna na time frame. So for example, you're really looking at the H4 chart. So you stick to your H4 chart. No? Now, yung pwede tayong bumaba no, to a lower time frame. We call that the top-down analysis. No? Tinitignan mo yung higher time frame sa kakababa to lower time frame for precise entries. No? So pwede yan. Pero kumbaga yung main trend talaga na tinitignan mo is H4. No? Yung H1 mo is just an entry. Okay? So from there, gamitin natin yung trend line breaks as your entries. No? So your trend line breaks is what we learned earlier. Tapos pwede mo isama dyan yung mga patterns na tutunan natin. No? You have your flags, pennants, wedges, triangles, lahat po yan pwede nyo gamitin. No? Or anything similar to that, it's okay. Okay? So the candlestick must close outside of the trend line or your price level. Kailangan po magsara siya doon. Ano ibig sabihin? Kapag open pa yung candlestick, meaning gumagalaw pa yung candlestick, tapos lumabas siya doon sa ating trend line, hindi tayo immediately papasok. We have to wait for the candlestick to actually finish before we enter that trade. Okay? Kasi baka mamaya mapeke tayo. Okay? So it's best to have strong breakout candles. How do you know if you have a strong breakout candle? Yun po yung natutunan natin kanina dun sa candlesticks. Kung natandaan nyo po, no, yung percentage natin at what percentage did it close, that would tell you if it's a bullish candlestick, a bearish candlestick, or if it's neutral. Okay? Now, this is best used no, with confluences dun sa ating other levels, so supports and resistances, Fibonacci levels, pivot points, pwede mo siya dagdagan. But for the meantime, hindi muna natin ginagamit yan. No? So kumbaga dun muna tayo sa trend lines muna na para mas simple muna. No? Alright. So if we see an example of that, makikita nyo po, no? You have here your consolidation area. Diba? Yan na yung pullback na hinihintay natin eh. Okay? So you can now go to a lower time frame for more precise entries. Kung yung mismong H4 line tinitingnan mo, then you can view this, as a consolidation area as a whole. Upon breakout, pasok ka na. Okay din naman yan. Pwede, no? If you look for precise entries on lower time frames, this is how it would look like sa H1. Okay? As you can see, you find here multiple patterns that you can enter. Ito, some sort of a flag-like pattern, no? Not perfect, pero medyo pwede na, no? Or, a little bit of a channeling downwards, whatever you wanna see it as, no? And then from here, yan yung mismong entry natin, no? Upon breakout there, that's your entry. Tapos mapapansin nyo, meron kang retracement ulit dito. Tapos upon breakout, pasok ulit. Tapos yung third entry na possible natin, this is a clear flag pattern, di ba? Upon breakout, pasok ulit. So you have multiple entries within those lower time frames. Now, probably some of you may be confused. Wait, coach, sabi mo, pag umabot ka ng Bollinger Band 1 sa kabilang side, hindi na valid yan. Bakit natin pinapasok to? Tandaan nyo po, ang basihan natin talaga ay H4. So yan ang i-consider nyong Bollinger Band 1 on the opposite side. If you go down to a lower time frame, naturally, aabot siya talaga sa kabilang side. Okay? So, hindi nyo na i-regard yan sa lower time frame kasi ang peg nyo talaga ay H4. Okay? Is that clear? Alright. So, your entries would be at the close of your candlestick. Pwede yan, papasok ka. Or, yung nasabi natin kanina, di ba? There are two types of entries sa breakout. Number one, yung mismong breakout candle, no? It closes. Pwede yon, that's an aggressive entry. No? Number two, pwede mong hintayin mag-pullback yung presyo doon sa dati mong resistance, diba, na binasag na ngayon support na, pwede ka doon pumasok. No? So it's up to you which type of entry you like. You can go for the aggressive one, pasok ka kagad upon breakout, or you can wait for a pullback before you enter. Okay? Alright. Coach, pwede ba makahingi kami ng slides? Siguro hindi na kailangan kasi naka-save na rin naman sa video. So you can take a screenshot of it here. Alright. So, yung exits naman natin, paano tayo exit ngayon sa market? No? So, unahin muna natin yung stop loss. Yung stop loss natin, it's very simple. Just look at the recent low or recent high. Kung wala kang mahanap, pwede Fibonacci retracements. No? Kung wala, talagang as in, wala kang makita, parabolic SAR, fine. No? Pwede nyo gamitin yung indicator na yan, pero I don't suggest it. Okay? Pinakamaganda pa rin, recent low or recent high. Okay? So, if you take a look at your exit there, doon muna tayo sa stop loss muna bago yung take profit. So dito po, makikita nyo na ito yung retracement natin, di ba? Tapos yung entry po natin dito. Nasaan yung pinaka-recent low natin? Our recent low can be found here sa may ilalim. So dyan po yung stop loss natin. Okay, your stop loss is over there. Just place it below that area and that would be okay. No, wag sakto dito. Have some pips no below that para to consider the spread no or yung mga konting pitik ng market, medyo ma-withstand mo siya, no? If you want to be a little bit on the safe side, ang pwede mo gawin kung mas gusto mo talagang very mathematical yung formula mo, you take a look at your entry point dito, tapos kunin mo yung lowest point, di ba? That's your whole risk. Add maybe 10 to 20% of that. So sabihin natin yung buong risk mo dito is around, let's say 50 pips, no? Add 10 to 20%. So sabihin natin 20%, no? We're adding 10 pips below that. Diyan mo ilalagay yung stop loss mo. Okay? All right. Now, ano yung take profit natin? Okay, yung take profit natin, you can be very conservative if you like, no? Kung ano yung entry mo, okay, diyan, you can have a take profit of 1:1, okay lang, sa totoo lang. Kasi yung strategy natin dito, it can actually yield you higher than 50% winning, batting average. Okay lang yun, no? So actually, pwede ka mag 1:1, no? Contrary to popular belief, no? But if you can, I do suggest at least 1:2 risk-reward ratio para naman kahit 40% of the time ka lang tama, no? Panalo pa rin, no? Pero up to you. Okay? You can also target yung recent highs mo. Kunwari, ito yung recent high ng market, super conservative ka lang, hanggang dyan lang yung target mo. Okay lang din. Walang problema. Okay? Para safe, safe side lang. Alright. Now, yeah. So looking at your take profit, no, you can have a conservative risk reward ratio, 1:1, okay lang, no, with this strategy. But if you can extend it, even better. Okay. You can also target yung recent high or low ng range, just like what we did earlier. Okay. If you want something a little bit advanced, pero kayo bala, mas nakakapagod siya, you can split your trade into two. Pareho sa kanila, same yung stop loss. No? Anong ibig sabihin ko ng split into two yung trade? Ang ibig sabihin ko is if you want to trade one lot, hahatiin mo siya sa dalawa. No? So pareho silang 0.5. Tapos, yung entry mo is exactly on the same price. Both of them have the same stop loss. Ang magkaiba lang sa kanila is yung target. Yung isa, 1:1 risk reward. Yung isa, 1:2. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung yung target mo dun sa isa, 50 pips, yung target mo sa pangalawa, 100 pips. Okay? Ngayon, kapag inabot niya yung positive 50 pips, meaning na take profit na yung una mong trade, yung 1:1 mo, ang gagawin mo sa pangalawang trade mo, i-move mo na yung stop loss to break even. So, iangat mo na siya, yung stop loss. Pag naangat mo yung stop loss, break even na siya. So, kung sakaling bumaliktad yung market, wala ka ng talo dun sa pangalawang trade mo. Okay? Tapos kung sakaling tumuloy pa yung market towards the direction you want it to go to, you get a little bit more profit. Okay? So, it's up to you if you want to use this type of strategy. Okay? But if you want to keep it simple, okay na yung kahit isang trade lang. Okay. May konting tanong tayo dito. Coach, sa H4, babasihan yung entry mo sa H1, M30, or M15. Siguro kahit H1, okay na. One step down lang. Okay. Sell half, tapos angat SL. Oh, pwede, no? So that's the idea behind it. Okay. So if you have some examples here, di ba? Ito yung entry natin. That's your take profit. This is your stop loss. Dun sa pangalawa naman natin, this is your entry, take profit dyan. Yung pangatlo natin, medyo mas malayo talaga inabot, no? So, that's your stop loss and that's your take profit, no? Okay. So, a couple of final notes, no, with that strategy. The system is designed for you to look for trending trade opportunities, no? So, optimal entries are found during a trending market. Wala kayong mahanap na matinong trade during a ranging market. And one of the the perks of using this strategy is that if the market is ranging, medyo halata mo siya, no? Wala ka talagang malinaw na trade setup na makukuha. So it kind of filters it out. Okay? It's best, no, when pullbacks have confluence with other levels. Kunwari, may tinamaan din siyang support or resistance. Okay din yun. That's gonna work well. And lastly, it's best to have fundamental biases with your trade. Kaya naman natin ginagawa yung mga live analysis sessions natin is that Sir Alex M there explains kung ano yung nangyayari sa current market ngayon, ano yung fundamental bias natin, why are we trading those pairs in particular, at bakit yun yung bias natin. Okay? So, with regards to fundamental analysis, we will talk more about this on our next session. Okay? So, malinaw ba? Clear ba yung ating strategy? Alam ko po, we've been at this for like more than 2 hours now. And alam ko medyo nakakapagod. But hopefully that was worth your while. No? So ito, may tanong tayo dito. Coach, mga ilang oras tatagal po yung strategy natin na yan? So, well, that depends on your time frame. If you're looking at the H4 chart, probably it will net you a couple of days. Normally, ganun yung galaw niyan. Ilang araw, matagal na siguro yung mahigit 1 linggo or 2 linggo. Pero may mga times kasi na hindi natin minsan sineset yung take profit kung saan natin kukunin. Lalo pag medyo maganda talaga yung galaw ng market. You can just trail your stop losses. Okay lang naman. Iangat mo lang. Pero siguro later on, you can take a hard profit muna 1:1 or 1:2. Okay. Coach, kapag hindi na hit yung naka-set na TP, no, at nag-reverse, i-close na ba agad yung order? Kung wala namang dahilan i-close yung order early on, wag. Kasi kumbaga ano naman may stop loss ka naman may dahilan naman kung bakit may stop loss ka no? So that's your invalidation point Pag umabot yung price doon sa stop loss mo, hindi na siya nagte-trend towards the direction you're trading it to. So kumbaga, nandun yung stop loss mo for a reason. Now, if suddenly the fundamental bias changes, then yes, maybe we can close early kasi wala na ring sense na we're still holding on to that trade. Okay? But aside from that, you don't need to close early kasi baka mamaya maano lang, fear lang yung nakaka-apekto doon, no? Practice lang siguro, coach. Talagang you won't learn this overnight, no? It will take a couple of days, couple of weeks to really get into it. Okay? Coach, reliable ba ang index ng isang currency? Parang yung DXY? Oo naman. Mainly yung USD lang naman yung tinitingnan natin na index. Pwede ba kami makahingi ng PowerPoint? Ang dami ko kasing PowerPoint na ginamit for this one we already have the saved video, so I don't think you won't need it. Trade your plan? Yes, exactly. No? So coach, for bias ng fundamental, fundamental pa rin ba ang gagamitin natin? Yes, no? Kasi malaking tulong talaga no? Kasi kapag wala kang fundamentals, parang minsan bulag ka nagtitrade sa market Or hindi naman sa bulag ka nagtitrade. Minsan nakakapagod. Hanap ng chart. You're sifting through a lot of charts. And it might be actually easier to filter kung ano iti-trade mo based on fundamentals. So ito yung may balita. Ito yung may pwedeng galaw. So dito tayo magtitrade. No? Okay, link po ng video. Yes, I will send it doon sa ating email po. No? I'll probably send it to you guys by tomorrow. Ayun. Sinend na rin ni Sir Ton. Thank you. Hindi ko lang alam, minsan kasi nag-change yung link Pero for the meantime, save nyo na rin yung link na yan. Okay. So are there any questions before we end our session tonight? Ang next session po natin will be on Saturday. Ang pag-uusapan natin doon ay fundamental analysis, no, at saka risk management, no, and trading psychology. Titingnan natin kung kakayanan natin lahat ng isang session Kung masyado nang mabigat yung fundamentals natin, we might have an additional session a week later. Okay? Pero feeling ko kaya Kasi ang mabigat lang naman doon is fundamental analysis. Yung risk management kasi, simple lang yun. You're just gonna follow a couple of rules, i-implement lang natin, hindi naman mahirap. Yung trading psychology, it's very important, no? Pero hindi siya mabigat kagaya ng fundamentals. Okay? All right. So anyway, thank you everyone, no? Wait, may konting tanong. Ano po ang estimated frequency ng Bollinger Band plus RSI strategy every month? What do you mean, like how much profit you can get? Well, it depends on how good you are spotting trade setups. So, depende kung gaano kaganda. But for us, kami, we make a good 50-60% batting average, no? Ano na yun, safe estimates na yun, doon sa ginagawa natin. Siyempre, may mga linggo na pangit talaga, no? Kaya nga, nagjo-joke kami minsan SL nights kapag ano, yung TP nights natin ng Friday, minsan SL nights kapag pangit talaga yung linggo. Pero, madalas naman TP nights yung ginagawa natin. So, we make around 50-60 conservatively. Coach, halimbawa, may chance strategy na i-apply sa scalping, no? Dahil trending din siya. Mas okay ba palitan yung period sa Bollinger Bands po pag ganon? Ano pong suggestion nyo? Personally, I don't recommend it to be used for scalping as of the moment. Magkakaroon tayo ng separate scalping class, no? Actually, that will be handled by Sir Alex M. Kasi personally, hindi ako magaling mag-scalp.
Yung sa scalping, ibang-ibang mundo yun. Hindi yun.
Oo, hindi natin masyado magagamit yan dyan.
Talaga. Kaya tuturuan ko ng ibang paraan para mag-scalp pero hindi may hawig naman pero iba talaga yung galaw doon eh. So tuturuan ko sa inyo mas may ang hirap explain eh. Makikita nyo iba eh. Parehas siya na iba, parang ganoon.
May similarities pero iba ka dapat
Oo.
mag-isip. Parang ganoon eh, no? Weird. You need to be in a different parang iba yung mindset mo eh.
Okay, ano yung tinuro sa inyo na system paano i-trade, ano yun? Basic. Basic pala ngayon. Yung basic, yun yung base. Okay? Lahat ng tinuro sa inyo, kailangan nyo pagsama-samahin yun para malaman kung ano yung best trade. No? Hindi siya basta-basta lang na ano. Hindi lang Bollinger diretso tapos RSI. Hindi gano'n. No? So, sige, gusto nyo, papakita namin sa inyo ibang trades namin ngayon. Yung current trades. Sa crypto, iba eh. Hindi namin pinapakita to pero sige, papakita ko sa inyo.
Sige, wait, ano kita, gawin kita
Para
ba?
makita
Naka-co-host ka ba? Wait,
Hindi.
naka-co-host ka ba? Oh, naka-co-host ka. Pwede kang share.
Naka-co-host ba
Wait
ako?
lang, isagutin ko lang iba bago natin pakita. May assignment? Yes, may assignment. I will send you a couple of videos that we have on YouTube. Or pwede search nyo na lang, central banks at saka yung fundamental analysis natin doon sa main YouTube channel ng PAFTI para medyo may may background, mabilis tayo. Tapos yung trading psychology, isi-send ko din yun. So hanapin nyo yung 4 videos yun. Fundamental analysis. Second is yung ating central banks. Tapos yung how to be successful in Forex trading. At saka yung stages of evolution of a trader. So mainly yun yung mga i-discuss natin. Okay. Okay, lagi po ba H4 ang tingin? For now, pwede H4, H1. Depende po kung anong type of trade, kung saan time frame ka nakatingin. Thank you for answering that. How about price reversals? For now, hindi tayo masyado nagtitrade ng reversals. Sa ano muna siguro tayo? Trend following muna yung tinuturo natin. Pero as we go doon sa ating sessions, may mga reversals din naman tayong kinukuha. Pero mainly, ang tinitingnan lang natin din doon ay trend line breaks din at saka divergences. So kumbaga, kung ano yung tinuro natin ngayon, you can also use it for reversals. Okay. Alright, so far wala pa namang mga tanong. Stop ko na yung share para ikaw naman, Sir Alex M.
Sige. Wait lang. Asa na yun? Baka iba bigla lumabas ito. Baka iba, mayari ako sa...
Pinag-ayabang mo dyan yung ginastos mo sa Genshin.
Hindi. Ayan, ito. Okay, so sa mga, malamang uuso tong Axie ngayon tsaka itong ibang crypto eh. So ito yung lumang watchlist. So bakit ko gusto mag-TP no, para makita nyo. Bakit ko gusto mag-TP ngayon sa dito sa Axie. Oh. Ito yung Bollinger. So we entered here. Ayan, kita-kita niyo yung pullback. Saan to? 16. Umangat. Nagkaroon ng nag-hold yung price. So that's anong pattern to? Hindi ayusin natin, alinisin natin to para makita nyo. Yan, ito crypto na to para kita nyo ngayon. So yan, so medyo may conflict, ano kayo dyan, medyo complex na pattern. So ito, bumalik siya sa gitna. Pumunta sa Bollinger 2. Ito yung Bollinger 1 ko, ito gitna. Okay, ito yung Bollinger 2. So same idea, okay? Paano kayo pumapasok? Sa Bollinger, abnormal price action, nag-pull back, so we entered. Abnormal price action, nag-pull back, we entered. Now, lagpas na. So, gusto ko na mag-TP. Ngayon, bakit? Tinuro sa inyo ni Coach kanina yung channels. Kung maalala nyo, you use that. You use those, yung mga support and resistance nyo. Ito yung log chart. Since crypto is very exponential growth, we use log charts. So makikita nyo ngayon, kung you use log charts, makikita nyo yung growth nung account. Tanggalin nga muna. Wait lang. Yan. Ito yung log chart. So if you use a log chart sa buong axis, may isang buong channel siya na dinaanan lang. So makikita nyo saan kami nag-pullback. Coach, discuss mo rin yung mga Fibonacci.
Hindi pa.
This is called the Fibonacci channel. Okay, so ma-discuss this sa future. So, yeah, we'll go move there. Pull back sa Fib 50. Wait, move. Pull back sa 78. And right now, I want to take profit. Nasa dulo na siya. Okay?
Sagad na.
Pag-isipan ko talaga kanina pa kung ita-take profit ko na yan. Saan yan? So, pero kung titignan nyo, yung price action mo is around, so that's 16.
Fundamental wise, sir, dagdagan ko lang konti. Fundamental wise, binabaan nila yung use for the AXS. AXS is used for breeding ng AXI. So, binabaan nila yung requirement kasi masyado nang mahal. So, kumbaga there will be less demand for it.
Pero makikita nyo, makikita nyo, andyan, malinis yung mga Bollinger na tinuro namin sa inyo. Okay, ayan, tinuro ni Coach sa inyo ngayon. Ito, range, pullback. Okay? So, ibang crypto. Itong SLP. You really want to buy SLP right now? I do not think so. Nasaan siya? Nagtatrend. So, antayin nyo muna magkaroon ng trend up bago mag-buy. Okay? Ito, crypto, skill. Ano TLM? Ano to? Ano yung TLM? Alien words, no? Yung naalala sa coins na tinitingnan ko. So yan, pullback. I bought here. TP ako dito isang araw. And ngayon, niisip ko kung magbabay ako kasi nag-hold ito. Okay? So yan yung iniisip ko ngayon. Ano pa ba? Ano ba yun? Wait. Pipahit ako sa iba. Yung, ano pa hold ko? Alice. Ayan. Abnormal galaw from, kita nyo to? Ano to? Double bottom, reversal, nabasag yung trend. Update, pullback. Dito ako lang pag-enter dito eh. Dito ako sa sumunod, dito ako nag-enter. Yun, nandito yung price. Now, nagdagdag ako dito. So, simple lang. Okay? Bakit kami nag-hold ng Bitcoin? Para sa mga may malalaking pondo. So, ito yung buong range. Ito yung bearishness ni Bitcoin. Yes, very bearish siya talaga noon. Nung binasag niya yung galaw last time, bullish na siya. Okay. Dito, I think I called this, may sumabay dito, hindi ko lang kung sino yun alimutan ko ng pangalan. Dave ata, sakto-sakto, 37.50. See, yung pullback, reaction sa 38.20, no range, whole number, pullback dulo, bounce, and ngayon, profit ka ng ilan? 24%, not bad, di ba? Ethereum, bakit hanggang ngayon in-hold ko pa Ethereum ko? Kasi pag nilag chart nyo yan, magulo, di ba? Magulo dito. Ito yung isang teknika. Pag magulo masyado yung chart, go up. So, nasan si Ethereum? Buy, pullback. Pullback siya. Okay? So, yung pullback niya. Nag-hold to. At yun, muntik na siya maging bearish eh. Okay? Kung nabasag yan sa baba, siya? Bearish market. So, we will buy. Nag-hold siya. So, bumasag siya. Hold. Hold. Hanggang umangat. So, ayan. Asa siya binasag. That's 50 mark pa lang. Asa yung resistance mo. Kaya sinasabi ng iba, abot siya ng 200. Ayan. Or 300, abot doon. Okay, kaya yun yung mga investments. Same with other crypto. Same din dito. O ito wala pa, no? So lagyan natin to. Yung bakit na to Bakit lagyan ito? Hindi, kulang to eh. Meron pa yan dito sa baba eh. Kulang to. Dito yung, hindi dapat tong Kraken. Kulang to. Meron to packet eh. Hindi yata Kraken. Ano yun ang una? ADA. Merong una to eh. Crypto Cup. Hindi. Meron yan. Pag ganyan sa meron yung iba pa. Binance? Ayan, mas
Sige,
konti
try
to.
mo.
Basta merong, meron dyan ADA. Mas mahaba eh. Bitfinex, Coinbase, hindi recent to eh.
Anyway,
yan, basta yun, isa sa pinaka gusto rin namin tong kita. Gusto niyo nakita niyo naman yung mga niyan. So marami pa yan, ito. Kung gusto niyo pa ng NFT, yan. Pakita ko sa inyo 'to isa. Ito nagdagdag na ako nito eh. Sand. Pangalan ito, Sand USDT. So marami na ako nito eh. Weekly. Yan. So, yan. Yung tinuro sa yung channel, di ba? Angat natin konti kasi basa na test siya. So, nasa siya nagbabounce. Pullback. Kitang-kita niyo mga price action. Kaya marami kaming nalagay ng pera ngayon. Ipit actually sa crypto dahil ang ganda yun. Mas malaki yung ito. Nag-hold itong 38.6 to. No? So yan, umaangat siya ngayon and there's no price action. Nag-hold naman yung price action so valid pa. Mag-break, dagdag. Bumili ako dito, dagdag dito. Naantay mo syempre itong unang to. Hindi mo to mapipredict. Ito yung signal na it's time to buy. Okay? So sorry, hindi ko makita yung chat. Yan, wala mo chat. DeFi pet. Ayun pala, may gusto ko yun. Wala bang audio? Ano yung pagsasalita?
Meron.
Okay. Sorry, dami nyo palang chat dito. Hindi ko nakikita. Okay, so yan. Isisay natin. Rally po na ito sa Filipinos, what's the best time to trade? As Filipinos, what's the best time to trade FX? H4 ako, so anytime ako, naglalagay ako sa umaga, London session, New York session, doon lang ako halos tumitingin na charts. The rest of the day, nag-a-analyze tayo. So, doon lang naglalagay ng mga position. Magandang land update. Audio. Daily chart. Ako, hindi ko talaga inisip ko anong oras ako. Yun lang. Kumbaga may routine na ako everyday. Umaga, gagawin ko yung mga reports natin. Hapon, kung may maganda na setup, alas 3 yun. Kung wala, gagawin ko yung chart. Tapos, New York session bago matulog. So yan, ayun yung mga Dodge, XRP. Sige, tinan natin. Gusto pa? Dodge. Sino ba pinakamatagal dito? Naglag. Ito, may magandang bounce si Dodge. Okay, so ano yan? Medyo pangit yung pullback nito eh. Mahina actually. So, antay mo pa yan. So, yan, meron siyang pullback na konti. It's your pattern na explain natin kanina, di ba? So, kung mabasag, you can add. Pero, syempre, yung fundamentals nun, if you want to hold Dogecoin, kayo na. Okay? Nasa sa inyo na yun. Pinapakita ko lang yung price action. Hindi ko nasuggest bilhin nyo. Ayan, XRP. Malinis. Pullback. So, tinanggal ko na yung mga XRP ko dito eh. Ito yung hindi natin gusto. Nakita nyo yan. Pullback siya. So, pag pullback, sa D1 yung makikita yan. Ito yung pullback na yun. Okay? Yung kanina nakita nyo may, ito yung pullback. Kung gusto nyo antayin yung pullback, okay ba? Okay? Mas okay fib channel. Depende yan sa Depende yung fib channels. Depende sa paano nyo gagamitin. Depende yan sa asset class. Depende lahat. Hindi siya lahat madali maganda. Nakita niyo man isa natin chinart ng ADA, hindi pangit tingnan. No? So, walang kwenta. Okay, ano yung Fibo na nilagay ko, Fibonacci channel yun. Advanced na yung mga, i-discuss natin sa mga ano yan. Huwag kayong mag-alala. Marami pa oras, okay, ano lang yan. Tinidemo lang namin na yung kombinasyon ng lahat ng yan. Kung paano yung, kumbaga, yung binigay sa inyo yung recipe ng cake, no, yung paano gawin yung cake. Tapos kayo na maglagay yung icing, ano gusto niyo ilagay, chocolate ba, vanilla, mga ganun. So kayo na bahala, ilalagay niyo. Gagawa kayo sarili yung cake, di ba? Ano sarili yung recipe. Yun na yung no, yun yung idea nun. Okay? Huwag kayong mahumaling sa paano namin ginagawa. Kaya niyo rin gumawa na mas magandang system paano mag-trade. Mas gagaling pa kayo sa amin. Ginagawa lang namin gusto namin gawin. Gusto kami masaya. So gawin niyo rin yung sa tingin niyo, saan kayo magiging profitable, saan kayo masaya. Okay?
Alright.
So,
Good. Okay. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it, no? Ito, quick question lang. May meaning ba pag sumisikip ang Bollinger Bands? That means lower volatility, yung market, and you might expect a stronger breakout from there. Yun yung usual ano niya. Sinasabi nun. Yeah. So
bibilin ko
anyway,
to.
I think that's pretty much it. Parang mahaba na yung session natin yan. And pagod na
Dagdag ko
yata
pa.
haramihan. Thank you, Sir Alex M. Thank you everyone no, sa oras. And I will send you the notes and yung ating homework hopefully by tomorrow morning. Alright, so anyway, thank you everyone. I will see you guys Saturday ng 7:00. Okay, bye-bye guys.